Everybody to the Splat World Championship Qualifier #1. I am back here with my good friend Skeptidilions to watch these wonderful games. And Skep, look at that. We're starting already with two great teams.
I know. I feel like we're in grand finals of a weekly already, right? So we're starting right off with those, exciting and explosive sets between EYG and Black Lotus versus Hamster Emoji. You might recognize the members of Hamster Emoji from countless pickups in Paddling Pool.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the kind of things that we see at the top level of Europe pretty often. So, I mean, it's the Splat World Championship. We have all the best players, all the best teams have registered to play today. And we get to watch that, Skep. We get to see that in action. Now, we will start with Undertow Spillway going for game one.
Yeah, and this is Zones Undertow, which is a less common map mode than maybe we've seen in the past, but we're starting to see more and more. At least I feel like I'm seeing it more and more. This is a map mode where we're going to expect to see those buckets, those S-Blast players, the Dread Ringers all doing particularly well here.
Yeah, and watch Noctis with the blaster. On here, that blaster can do a lot of damage with all these corners. But on the other side, is that a reflex?
And that is the new reflex, the Bearzushi reflex coming out from Wee Wee on the side of Hamster Emoji. That is a new one here. That we are seeing that played a lot for that Booyah spam as well as very aggressive turf control.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of paint that it can output is nothing to scoff at, especially on Splat Zones. You want to be able to paint pretty fast. On double zones, though, the control is the name of the game right now. Black Lotus were able to take a bit of control, and they get more with two players down on Hamster. They will push forward.
Black Lotus working forward with that bubble that's going to let, we see that decaf player taking that top right side, going to trade with the reflex, giving Boom an opportunity to work their way in, but hopefully not going down since they do have that zip caster, but someone's going to need to move this pen here from this top left pat if they have any chance of breaking in.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that was so dangerous. Bomb coming with the zipcaster, trying to chase away, able at least to deny a bit. One zone is painted, but it's double zone. You need to paint both in order to apply penalty. And right now, it's going to be done. Hamster are still in the game. It's their turn to make points, Skep.
Yeah, they did apply some penalty, but not able to really get a sort of hold in the zone. That being said, they are still fighting for it. The zone flipping into neutral. We can see Jokey and Boom on that right side, but the pen still going to keep out on that edit, which is providing a lot of their paint. So with that, a lot of fuss and no fire here for Hamster Emoji, but thankfully still with penalty.
I mean, we have both teams still fighting for control over the zone, the Explo. It is still a danger, still right there. We have the two teams fighting and trading left and right. In the end, Black Lotus still have a lead of about 50 points, and they're playing off of it.
And it's the AoE that we're seeing from Black Lotus, right? Between, the blaster, the slosher, the pen putting 70 here and there, so either of them, their opponents are only one shot from there. That AoE keeping out those painters, preventing them from standing next to the zone, it took a lot of time off of Hamster Emoji. That being said, we've got about 30 ticks. That's one failed push from Black Lotus, and then Hamster Emoji could potentially pull the lead.
Yeah, they're in good control right now. As I say that, it's 2 versus 2 and the strikes are flying for Black Lotus. They're not enough to take control of the zone. Hamster not that far from the lead, Skep.
No, but they still have that splashdown and that zipcaster. The wavebreaker from the range blaster potentially could mark those opponents who are trying to lurk in mid, keep some paint down, and we see that coming out from Noctis on that left side. Also, the slosher there on top mid, pushing those opponents with Noctis, providing some great chip there to pin that Explo, denying a lot of paint from Hamster Emoji. If they can't get that edit set up and they don't have that Explo to provide that long range paint, that makes Black Lotus's job a lot easier.
Yeah, and right now, Hamster getting back onto the zone. They were not able to get the lead, but they're still in this game. A minute and a half left to play, and all two teams are just 8 points apart right now. And Hamster, they don't have that much penalty left, Skep. They could get back, especially if you're down. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, especially if they're able to get names with those strikes. We do see the bucket jump and reposition, and so they still have that very needed special for this retake ready to go. We see the reflux popping Booyah. They're trying to deny some sort of paint there out from Black Lotus. The Booyah comes out on plat, forcing those members backs, but they're all alive. They all still have those specials, and here come those strikes. We're going to see the decaf Labby dropping in on right. They have that bubble. That bubble is out. Going to give their team a little bit more purchase here in mid, but not enough ink. Maybe finally able to cap that zone.
Zone is capped. It's not over. There's 45 seconds left, and Black Lotus don't have that much penalty either. And with Noctis going in, Noctis getting splatted right away. That is huge. Knives coming in that bucket, as you were saying, able to do so much, but not able to do enough. That's a wipeout.
Yeah, particularly where they want to be standing in those zones, right? At those buckets, those blasters, they just have the perfect range to be able to threaten anybody trying to paint zone on this map. We see the Booyah coming out from the reflex immediately, and the members of Black Lotus clumped up on that right side. That's a beautiful kill from such a difficult-to-learn weapon out there on that reflex. We see Black Lotus knowing that their backs are against the wall, and the time is ticking. They have that cooler out, but it's not enough. They lose the bubble, they lose the decaf and the pen, and there's just no shot at applying penalty and working their way into overtime by capping those zones.
Yeah, great game number one by Hamster, and we saw Black Lotus open so strong, taking control, taking 50 points right off the bat, but in the end, Hamster, they were able to learn, they were able to adapt, and once they were in that position in front of the zones, Black Lotus really struggled to make their way in.
And it's the weapons that Black Lotus is running, like Decaf, it wants to hold space, it wants to kite its opponents, Buckets wants to play under ledges, Blaster wants to play under ledges. All of those weapons are so scary, just objectively on their own, but when you're working against such a high paint comp with this edit and this reflux, and then Explo for Chip and Marks, it just makes it so hard for those players to physically move. Especially on this map where you might have line of sight broken up for how that pen wants to be applying paint. It's very hard to get clean lines on this map with pen unless you're standing right in the zone. And then that's really, you can only look forward from there.
Yeah. But that high paint comp that Hamster was running also meant that they were relying a lot on A, the Stamper getting the picks, and B, the Reflex being able to fight, despite, as you say, being a very hard weapon. If you miss one shot, that costs a lot, that can cost you your life. Hamster really able to perform mechanically with his very hard weapons to use right there. If they can keep the pressure, they're looking pretty good. But right now, it's on Black Lotus to come back.
And I don't think we'll be seeing those comps again. I think that was something that we're seeing on this map mode. Explo and Edit can be pretty slow. Both of those are more aggressive anchors. Like, yes, they're anchors and they have support specials and subs, but really they're not a pencil. They're not a leader. So seeing those two weapons combined, I do see that being a niche pick for Hamster Emoji. I could be wrong. But also combined with the reflux. Speaking of those, the way your sight lines and your paint patterns are going to be broken up by the map geometry, reflux just shoots right over those little ledges, those little bumps in mid. So very good painting weapon, particularly on this map. And we did fortunately see that the player is skilled enough to still hit their shots with it. So first thing in the morning, I'm sure both teams are still waking up, or sorry, they're European.
They're European. They're both European teams. It's the evening right now. It's past 7 p.m.
It's time to wake up.
Hey, Skep, welcome to the World Championships.
Time zones, Pat. Time zones.
Well, the map the map has been chosen, Skep, and we're getting more ledges. More ledges are coming with Macomart. So we could see more explode.
Honestly, I think this is kind of hype for the comp that they were running. Especially those sensors between the stacks, right? Deny those blasters any sort of flank. There's no way. All right, let's go.
Hey, it's working. Don't change it for Hamster. They're pretty happy, I think, to go back to a ledge map that's going to allow the X-Brusher to do its perfect job of painting so much from afar. But now both teams are fighting around. This is more of a fighting map, so this could play in favor of Black Lotus.
Yeah, I think the question for me here is going to be how far are we able to get that decav and that blaster. If those two players are playing underneath the blaster on the left side and then maybe the decav on the right with the bubble, I think that's going to be a very difficult lockout for Hamster Emoji to break. And we're starting to see movement in that direction with the Slosher pushing up under a freezer there. We see Boom trying to defend that space, but realistically it's Black Lotus in control of mid with multiple specials online here. So we're going to have to see some sort of retake here from Hamster Emoji.
Yeah, and right now Black Lotus, as they did in game number 1, making good points at the start of the game. Here comes the Booyah Bomb from Hamster, trying to create some space that's enough to stop the zone, but not enough to apply penalty. Black Lotus right now able to defend their zone. The Zcaster is coming, but is it going to be able to do much?
No, I don't think so. I think it was the flank from the sword breaking them back in there. I'm surprised. I thought it was the decap that was flanking the Explo. But regardless, we see Hamster Emoji taking advantage of the fact that Black Lotus has their players all over the map, just coming in, capping that zone, and figuring out where to go from there. They do use that Booyah here, and that's not going to do much with these strikes coming out from Black Lotus, able to very quickly cap that zone. We're seeing Black Lotus burn a lot of specials here, and it is working to get Hamster Emoji out, and they're saving that bubble for the lockout, which I love to see.
Yeah, and right now Black Lotus keeping the splats going as long as they have the numbers advantage. They also have the paint advantage, and right now Hamster are in a rough spot trying to get out of their spawn, Scap.
That is the second time the decav has gone around through that right side in order to flank. I called it out at the start of the game. That's exactly what we want to see this decav player, Labby here, doing. I think they're going to go for it again on respawn here. Let's see. Nope, I lied.
Well, there's more attack by Hamster. They're able to apply penalty. They're able to stay in the game, but will they be able to take control? Oh, 2 down on Black Lotus. They're forced to jump out. This is Hamster taking control now. Will Hamster have the time to paint enough to stop Black Lotus from coming back in?
Yeah, and we did see the sword moving their way towards that right side, and they did go down. They did get picked by the edit for it. So I think that the success here on this right side is going to determine whether or not Black Lotus is able to maintain control, potentially knock out for the rest of the game. We see them pressuring this right side, and they go 1 down, then they go 2 down, right? And this is exactly how Hamster Emoji has been managing the retake. The pen is gone, which means your jumps are gone, and here comes that Zipcaster signaling their re-entry.
Re-entry is coming. Black Lotus are keeping the zone, and with 2 down, it's going to be pretty rough for Hamster. Black Lotus are out, done with their penalty, and getting more and more points with 2 players down. It looks like game 2 is going to go to Black Lotus, which means we are getting a game number 3.
That was incredibly clutch from Black Lotus. On that left side for Hamster Emoji when they were, starting to drop towards their own stack. I was starting the zip pass down the, that breakfast portion of the map. Not wiping there, let alone putting themselves back in a 2-2 situation, knowing that their teammates are going to be back at a spawn at any moment. Phenomenal play. I don't really know quite how it happened, Pat. Do you?
Oh, what? Sorry?
how did they clutch that out? Let's see.
I think the big difference between this game and the last is that they didn't let Hamster take control of mid. At
Right.
no moment was Hamster really able to completely push Black Lotus out. At some point, there was almost a delayed wipe in favor of Hamster, which
Yeah.
meant, but Black Lotus was able to respawn super fast, and thanks to the Tacticular, they instantly put a bubbler and tripling strikes on the zone because they knew they wanted to keep the fight in mid and not have to come back from their spawn, not have to fight in front of the zone. And doing that meant that Hamster didn't have the time to put all that paint around that gave them the win in game number 1.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And it surprises me how differently this map played, particularly, compared to Undertow, which one could argue is even more prone to lockouts. Now, granted, Mako, it has its own history, right? Some people will say it's incredibly lockout heavy. Some people say it's the best map ever made in the history of Splatoon. So maybe we're finding ourselves in a situation where the comp worked so well on a particular map that maybe we haven't tried to apply it to other maps that where maybe in theory it can still be very strong. But I think there's something to be said about how particularly Black Lotus was playing so aggressively and not giving those slower but still aggressive anchors time to set up.
Yeah, I feel like on the Undertow sometimes you're forced to slow down because it's a funnel and there's some spot where you have to wait for your teammates. On Mako, you can keep moving forward, and keep moving forward is the thing Black Lotus wants to do. Now, all the pressure is on Hamster. They won game number 1, which means they get the final counter pick, and that final counter pick could decide a lot. I mean, we are in double elimination, but we are in best of 3. These games are going fast, and there's a lot of weight behind each of them.
And particularly so early in their tournament run, right? We're just starting today.
Yeah.
So to be against opponents that you respect and know and recognize as strong and capable competitors, to be fighting them first thing in the morning is a whiplash of pace that you might not be as accustomed to.
Still not the morning, but everything else you said was too correct.
Forgive me, I'm still waking up, Pat.
I forgive you.
I'm excited to see what their counterpick's going to be. I'm also excited to see whether or not we're going to see, a radical change in comp. I'm curious, just because things have been changing with how good they are and to what's relevant right now. With so many new kits, allowing new comp opportunities to evolve. You don't always need a pen for cooler anymore. You don't have to default to a zap. If you need an AoE retake, you don't specifically need Neo Splash for strikes anymore. Other weapons can do these jobs better. So I'm excited to see the innovation, and I'm curious whether or not this is their default, their center, their home, or whether or not this is something that they were getting a little freaky with first thing, at the start of the tournament.
I mean, Hamster, they have more depth to their team. They're a pickup, they know how to adapt. And as you said, on other maps, on flatter maps, they're certainly going to bring a different weapon. So maybe this could be an opportunity to see other comps.
Yeah, especially given that they just locked in Barnacle and Dime.
Well,
I can't name a more flat, more open, visible map. Can you, Pat?
Hammerhead Bridge?
Maybe, but Hammerhead still has elevation changes.
Yeah, true.
They're just gradual.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Barnacle, as you said, it's the flat map, it's the open map. I think you need to bring a pencil to this map. Unless you have an Eliter in your ranks, you kind of need to bring a long-range charger on here.
I'm curious because we haven't been seeing that from them. We've been seeing Explo and Edit, which does not exactly give pen player, right?
We'll see what they bring as weapons. But I think if Hamster are picking Barnacle and Dime, they have something with a lot of range on their team, and with more range than an Explo.
Interesting. It does make you wonder because it is one of those maps where you look at it and you're like, the pen is going to sit on their snipe and paint zone the whole game. And then the question of the game then becomes, how do we move the pen, right? So there's got to be a little bit of secret sauce here. I'm curious. I'm excited. Especially if we're going to be seeing some changes. If not, I can't wait to see how they apply their comp to this particular map mode. And I know we've been focusing on hamster emoji, but that's because it is the more
unknown.
Yeah, just there's a little bit more of unexpected to their comp right now. It provokes a lot of thought into something that we're seeing as a strong meta staple coming out from Black Lotus.
Yeah. Black Lotus are not going to change their comp at all, and it's a very reliable changing comp. And yes, there's a lot of range right now on the side of Hamster. A Pencil, a Rapid Blaster Pro, and another Stamper, with the Julies being the short range, providing the bubbler that will help a lot to paint the zone.
I really agree. Another thing that's fascinating to me is that we're seeing the Rapid Pro Deco in addition to the Pen. When Rapid Pro Deco is one of Pen's most viable counters for a significant portion of the last year. So I want to be seeing that Rapid Blaster playing a little bit more aggressively, especially paired with that Pen. That being said, we are going to see Black Lotus as the first team to cap and hold that zone, with Hamster Emoji now trying to break back in.
Yeah, Hamster, they need to break in. The strikes and the bubbler from Black Lotus means Black Lotus has more control, is delaying the push from Hamster. Hamster, now they have a lot of special. Here comes the Booyah Bomb, here comes the bubbler on the zone. That's a lot deployed by the Hamster. They're going to take control of the zone, but they haven't pushed Black Lotus completely out yet.
The two incredibly busted kits on already solid weapons here, with that Booyah Bomb to force these players out. Golden Glow on this blaster, providing enough chip for their teammates to clean up the remaining members of Black Lotus before they are forced back into court. They have this Whale and other specials probably coming online relatively soon, like we see that Booyah here. And look at the members of Black Lotus. They're so clumped up in that back corner, and that is great for AoE, like a blaster and a stamp to punish.
Yeah, I mean, as we've seen, both of these teams are pretty good at getting a lockout on the other team. Right now, Black Lotus are breaking the lockdown, getting onto the zone, pushing their way in, repainting. That's a big lead for Hamster, but with 3 players down, Black Lotus is now on top. It's their turn to put themselves in front of the zone and stop Hamster from going in.
Incredible pick from Naves there. Multiple picks on that bucket in order to be able to break in and get control of Snipe. And we see here where Hamster Emoji has one member down, 3 up. They are starting to use those specials, but we see Black Lotus still having their bodies on that Snipe. And now they have these strikes to stall out the zone just a little bit longer while their teammates jump in. This could be a cap for Hamster Emoji, but not without a solid fight from Black Lotus.
A solid fight, but that cap means Hamster keeps the lead for now. The fight for mid is back in full action already. Splat on each side. Black Lotus are back with control of the zone, but everybody is falling like flies. Jiki getting the jumps in with that Pencil. Will they be able to paint again? It looks like Black Lotus are holding control. With 2 minutes left in the game, they have more than enough time to get the lead.
They're popping specials when each other are down. We saw that Whale coming out, and the Cooler is going to, give those jumps some viability, especially off of a very cheeky double there from Boom. The Booyah coming out on the zone. They are going to get one off of it. This could be a cap here for Hamster Emoji. When it looked like they couldn't, they're going to maintain the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, Hamster able to simply go in, paint the zone again. They're not able to push Black Lotus out, which might cause them, but right now they're hanging on to that lead as Black Lotus is repainting it in pink, trying to get that zone, but no, Hamster is still here.
And to me, my eyes are on the Pen player on Hamster Emoji. That Cooler, that saved that last push entirely.
Yeah.
And so here we are using this whale with no other player, you know, to capitalize off of it, to push back the pen, to push back these chip-based weapons, and you know we're losing the blaster, and so we have the pen alone on this top left area, and they're so close to that cooler yet again, but this time they are going to lose lead. We see the stamper drop, you know, there we go with losing that booyah, and we are looking towards a KO for Black Lotus, but that cooler keeping them in the game just a tiny bit longer. Here we go. There's pain on the zone. The booyah is out. It's enough to put it into neutral. There's the bubble. That's just enough. And now they have an uphill climb for the rest of this match to clutch it out in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, that game, there's only 30 seconds left. Hamster needs to hold the zone. They cannot get penalty applied again. Here comes the strikes from Black Lotus. They know all they need is to feint the zone just a little bit. They don't need to take control. Hamster staying around here, able to keep the clock going. 10 seconds left. We are going to need overtime, but all of Black Lotus is on the zone. It's a fight for the paint. The Slosher is down, Skep, and right now Hamster are holding.
Yeah, there's only 2 members left standing, and we see them swarming names on that snipe. Then there's Wasabo on the bunker, backed all the way into court. You can't paint zone from there, and they're just going to be taken out. And that's GG's. Unbelievable from Hamster Emoji. I cannot express enough how that game looked over the second we saw 2 members of Hamster Emoji going 2 down outside of their own court. Just so much faith in their own jump-ins from there, and reliance on that cooler and having it at just the right moment. Your pen player won the game. And it just fantastic job. And that level of support, you don't see it that often.
I mean, Hamster, these last 20 seconds, they coordinated perfectly. They were on top of every fight and maintaining control on every fight while making sure that the zone stays painted is not an easy task, especially when you're facing a team like Black Lotus. Steph, this is the first game we show, and Black Lotus is in losers bracket now.
I'm a little shook. I'm not gonna lie, Pat. This is quite the way to start the evening or day, depending on your time zone.
Yes.
And just the booyah there from the end. This whale, to me here, I was like, okay, we're working our way in, but then we lose the sword on the left side. And then Jilky here, you see there's 78, 80, 85, 89 to cooler. Just having it at that specific moment when their sword player is dropping out of spawn with booyah. It gives them the grace to just explode on that drop, come back and jump in, have booyah. We're still in this thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah, an incredible pop-off in that last minute by Hamster to get the 2-1, to get the victory against Black Lotus, which means they will advance onto round number 3 of this Splat World Championship qualifier. And Skep, I think we're gonna take a short break as we wait for our next game.
That sounds good. I need water after that one, Pat.
The back and forth has got me so messed up. Don't ignore the signs. We've had enough of the whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking? I need to find a way. this for? It's got me turned around, but I can't ignore the feelings that I found in this whole damn thing that we got going. You hold the strings without me knowing. Why do I have to suffer through the thinking? Why do I have the feeling that we're sinking? I need to find a way. Find a way. Find a way. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out. Find a way out.
Break down, we're alive, but we run in circles, running around. Break down, chase the light, we're rolling but on the go. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Splat World Championships. My name is BADVXLLIAN, and I'm here with Pat for one of my guilty pleasures of a map mode. I am so excited! It is Scorch Zones. If you've ever played like a JP, a Japanese like zones only scrim, as a Westerner, you are guaranteed to roll this map every single time just to spite you. What do we think we're gonna see here, Pat?
I'm not sure. I mean, Healthy Diet Food Groups are very much a well-established team from NA. It's the morning for them. You can say they just woke up in the morning finally. On the other
I feel
side,
awake.
on the other side, 129. They're a rising star on the side of Europe. They've been getting better and better results throughout the month, and really pay attention to them. They could surprise you. So, not sure what they'll bring, but I expect at least a blaster.
I'm optimistic. I'm not too sure, particularly on this map mode, right? Because we just don't see this one. So everything's on the table. We are seeing what would be considered quote standard for healthy diet food groups, particularly built around that bamboo and that carbon, and also nothing too shocking over on the side of 129.
Yeah, 129, pretty much a classic comp. But they make it work. It's about how you play it right now. Healthy Diet Food Group going in, thanks to the bubbler they take. Some control jelly roll to the side, trying to get that extra splat. He's going to get it, and that's a nice opening for the Diet Food Groups.
Yeah, and there they go looking towards that left side. I might be mistaken, but I believe they do occasionally counterpick this map as well. So having that Booyah Bomb ready to go for their lockout here as that crowd comes out, I would bet to see that we're going to be seeing that pretty shortly. The strikes out on the zone. Still no Booyah out to show for it yet, but as we do see their opponents dropping into that zone and able to actually flip it, quite surprising given the amount of utility that we held on healthy diet food groups.
they flipped it, but they didn't really take control yet. Their Slosher is still fighting on the zone, but he's kind of isolated. The rest of the team is coming, but a bit too late. They lose 3 players on Healthy Diet Food Groups, getting back control of the zone. They have a bit of penalty, but Skep, I don't think they mind, because they kept control on this map. Keeping control is so much more important.
I think they lost a single player during that last skirmish. Correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong, but it was not a lot. And so here we have these chumps coming out from the bamboo to just let's put a little bit of paint on that snipe. It's not
Ooh.
enough to stop 129 from dropping, but it might be enough to stop them from flipping the zone here. We see Walnut doing some great work, keeping enough paint down, and it's just the pen. And that's Healthy Diet Food Groups maintaining control.
And they maintained control, and this time no penalty was applied, Skep, which means the food groups are making more and more points. It's not much time left for 129 if they want to stay in this game. Tactical is deployed. I expect them to go in. The Booyah Bomb is going to slow them down. The 129 needs to paint the zone. They only have 50 ticks left.
Oh, and here come the strikes, but there's only 2 players left standing. Healthy Diet Food Groups able to keep down enough paint, and a Conde and Pit Cat there left alone. But it's just 3 ticks back. They managed to neutralize it. They have Booyah, but the Booyah goes down again. It's just the bucket and the pen. Healthy Diet Food Groups, if they get the pen here, it's over. GG's, and that's Healthy Diet Food Group taking game 1 in a extremely dominant fashion on a particularly controversial yet enjoyable map mode.
That's on this kind of map that you don't see that often. Having extra experience does a lot, and Healthy Diet Food Groups, they've been playing together for ages now, and this is where it pays off. You have the pressure of the World Championship, you have an uncommon map. This is working for the food group. They got to mid and they didn't leave. That's all they did. They got to mid and they did not leave.
Yeah, and just the fact that they were only going 1 or 2 players down at a time and keeping those extra players alive in order to be able to paint the zone. I initially was shocked that 129 was able to cap at all, but looking back at it, I think you did hit the nail on the head, where they opted to let their opponents come in and cap the zone in favor of playing their lives and still having some sort of special at the end of the day, knowing that their opponents would be dropping into a situation where they don't have paint to work with. Very patient from Healthy Diet Food Groups. Just in terms of comparing them to other teams on that map, we didn't see clumping. Just behind that top area, a lot of teams like to clump around there, and that's something that I'd never noticed them doing, and I think it says a lot about why they were successful here, or so successful here.
Yeah, not only did they not clump, they were still able to take their fights together, which 129 was struggling to. We saw 129 staggered every time they tried to push. There was one player a bit too forward and a back player a bit too back, which meant Healthy Diet Food Groups were taking 2v1s the whole game, and that's how you win now. 129 are going to Barnacle and Dine, and yes, by the way, it is the French classic counter pick to go to Barnacle and Dine.
I like to play this game on occasion where it's guess the region by the counter pick. Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. I guess you're right. That one is a European classic. I think over here we would be going the haggle.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the few difference in tastes, I guess. 129 are bringing the splash. I don't think they had the splash in the previous game. Am I right?
They did. Money Trees was on the splash as well the previous game. Yes.
I have no memory. It's so hard for me. But right now, it looks like 129 are fighting for that opening. The crab is deployed, and on this map, it's going to work pretty well. The Healthy Diet Food Groups are taking control of the zone.
I was a little bit concerned about the chumps there, and about those potentially taking out the crab, but we did see Money Tree managing to live that one out, and it's a 4v4 scrap for the zone, but this time it's Healthy Diet Food Groups that I'm seeing clumping around that left side, being a little bit cautious about that. Thankfully, they do jump out and reposition, but a Conde jumping to the zone, and a cheeky Booyah going to take a Skipper with what on earth was that?
That's that's Healthy Diet Food Groups taking control, winning the fight, pushing 1-2-9 back in their spawn, as we saw in game number 1-1-9. Now, they need to mount a push and they need to do it together, because on this map, there is no forgiving. You need a big push in order to get in, Skep.
Right, and the strikes are no longer an option. We lose the Slosher. We have the Booyah. The Slosher is coming back out of spawn thanks to that cooler with those strikes ready to go. However, we are getting dangerously close to a knockout. So if we don't see this cap and if one of the strikes misses, this could potentially be a KO for Healthy Diet Food Groups. The members of 1-2-9 are all grouped up behind that snipe. It's just the Splash Money Tree. They're all alone, Pat, and that's it. I think that's GG.
I guess it is Healthy Diet Food Groups getting the 2-0. But we are no longer in best of 3. 1-9 still has a shot, but right now they need to change something. It is not working. Healthy Diet Food Groups are still winning the fights.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed. Those are both very different maps. I think you don't, compared to Gorge, you don't have a lot of visibility in mid, right? Typically in Gorge, you're dropping on either half of the map and taking your fight there with what you know. This map, you can see almost everything. You typically know where your opponents are and where you want to be taking your fights. Yeah, you got to watch those streets and make sure you're not flanked, but in terms of dropping in, you know where your opponents are going to be and they know where you're going to want to drop. And particularly on this left side, just what was, this mash of paint, just a mess over here. That Healthy Diet Food Groups, they were just a little bit more coordinated with, the paint that they were throwing down.
More coordinated. The difference is not the maps. The difference is the teams right now. Healthy Diet Food Groups playing faster, more coordinated, more organized, and knowing what to do every time there is a splat. They know how to turn that splat into movement forward. 1-9 were able to get some picks right here, were able to win some fights, but they got pushed out and did not know what to do, did not know how to come back. Now they go to their last pick, and we're going to a more open map, even more. It's Crab Leg Capital.
Yeah, I think to me the difference is it's clear that when the members of Healthy Diet Food Groups, they take an action or they get a splat, there's a next step. And so that might look like apprehension. It might look like holding a special for what someone instinctively might consider a good opportunity to use it. It's because those they have a plan and they're sticking to what they have and they're not playing reactively. They're playing responsively, I think is a better way of putting it. And so here on Crab Leg, this map is just the perfect blend of both worlds between Gorge and Barnacle, where you might have restricted visibility in mid and you are taking straight drops that your opponent are going to be reliably able to predict. And so this map mode is a little bit of a concern, but I'm curious to see how both teams will cook here.
Yep, and right now we see both teams going in with the same comps, trying to do the same thing. Healthy Diet Food Groups already on the zone, trying to paint it with that tiny bubble by Jelly Roll. As 1-9 coming in, but getting punished. It's oh wait, no, they're winning this fight, and with 3 players down, it's only the bamboo left for the Food Groups.
Yeah, and they are rushing Walnut there on that top right area, and we do see that the bamboo does jump out, but they have those chumps. Those chumps on such a flat map are really going to provide an opportunity for their team to break in, particularly Pineapple there on that carbon roller. So those do come out, they do get some paint down, and we're continuing to see Healthy Diet Food Groups try to start work some way forward. But the biggest difference here to me is just how little paint that they have to work with physically off of those drops. It's becoming very restrictive for them.
I mean, right now 1-9 are holding the zone, are making good points. It's all they were not able to do in game number 1. Their sniper right there, able to get more splats. The chumps are coming, but nobody cares. All of 1-9 are ahead of the zone, getting more and more fights. Skep, we could have a quick KO for 1-9.
think 129 for them, the big thing here is going to be, can they keep paint on those drops? That bubble is going to make it a little bit more difficult for them, but those strikes going to collect out the paint that they actually need to keep the zone. Healthy Diet Food Group popping a booyah. It's 2v2 and mid. It's just the bamboo. That's it. That's
it. 129 figured it out, and now we see what that team is able to do once they are in position, once they are ahead of the zone with some paint in front of them. They can really get that coordination. Now, that's what they do when they are in control of the zone. That's what they do when they decide the map. Now they have to win on Healthy Diet Food Group's counter pick twice.
I think the biggest difference here is how efficiently 129 was able to keep paint in front of the zone. And they didn't overextend. They didn't try to take any additional fights on the grates. They didn't try to potentially work their way out to plat. They just sat and they kept paint down underneath those left and right drops. And that made Healthy Diet Food Group have a much less fun time. And that's not something that we saw them do on Barnacle. It is something that could be done on Barnacle. But on Barnacle and Gorge, Gorge less so, but Barnacle in particular, like once you are done putting down paint, there's still more that's accessible to your opponent that you're going to be feeding into. On Crab Leg, that's not really an option. Once the paint is down, unless you're taking top left or you're doing something funny, you have a stopping point as the aggressor. And that's something that I think similarly we're going to see on Mahi, actually. Because once that water level falls, there becomes a physical, you have to do XYZ to pass here. And that could provide a little bit of a natural barrier that 129 might actually benefit from.
Yeah, and one thing to note, Skep, is that a carbon, a bamboo, and a stamper, they're not easy weapons to fight, and you're not used to seeing a bamboo and a carbon on the same team. 129, they're learning right now. They're slowly learning how to fight this other team. Right now, Healthy Diet Food Groups, though, are going to get the better opening with 2 players down. They're going to take control of the zone right away. Will 129 be able to get their way back in?
Here comes that crab and the bubble right out on that drop to absorb that crab's fire. The bubble is going to be shredded, but we are nearly done with that crab. So Money Tree now forced the drop against these chumps at their back, and that's going to be a clean retake there for 129, pushing their way off of their own opponent's momentum.
Yeah, and they were able to get, I think, a delayed wipe, except maybe the junior. And the junior right now is waiting for the opportunity for the way in. Is going to be punished with Bubbler. That is huge by 129. They're gonna make more points, but Booyah Boom is not enough to take, which means it's the lead. And with 2 players advantage, that is huge for them, Skep.
You just paint those drops, right? The lesson for Crab Leg is keep those drops painted and do not pass go. We see the members of 129 getting really close to their specials. We see Healthy Diet Food Groups does have theirs online, but their specials they have to actually drop with them, and they're all coming out right now. So if 129 manages to survive this push, they could be KOing here, and there's no specials anymore. That's it. Oh no! The Healthy Diet Food Group's barely able to cap that zone, but it's just the junior.
Yeah, and the junior is going to go back to spawn. It's a wipeout. I mean, Healthy Diet Food Group are still alive in this game, but 129 are keeping the lead, are keeping control, and are forcing Healthy Diet Food Groups to wait for their special again.
Yeah, and here they go with realistically a small penalty. We're hitting 35, right? The Booyah's coming out. That Booyah will be enough to flip the zone at least to neutral, and the Chumps potentially going to force the members of 129 back a little bit further as they find themselves in a 3v3, a 3v2, a 2v2, and that is Healthy Diet Food Groups in control of the zone, and the bubble giving excellent jumps. The thing is, though, we're not seeing as much paint down here from Healthy Diet Food Groups as we were seeing from 129 off of their last push. That means that those low paint weapons like that carbon are going to have less room to work, and more room here for 129 to drop in, re-engage, recap, reapply penalty, and put themselves back in the game.
And that's the thing with that lack of paint right there. 129 could simply drop getting and do that, but they pay the price. They pay the price. Healthy Diet Food Groups was waiting for them, ready to punish them. With 2 minutes left in the game and no penalty, they're on their way to make more points.
And this could be, you know, a deal breaker right here. They have the chump, they have that booyah, we know, and now we have a DC on 129. So Healthy Diet Food Groups potentially walking away with the set.
That is so sad to happen right now. Healthy Diet Food Groups simply painted the zone. 129 are going to give up the battle. I don't think they have the right to get a replay that late in the game, Gab.
I will wait for the TOs.
Yes,
I
I
have
will.
not read. I haven't read the rules of the event. I don't know the DC rules. But it looks like Healthy Diet Food Groups is saying it's okay. We'll gentlemen's the rematch anyway.
Oh, that's very nice of them. We'll see how it goes. I hope we get
wait.
more. Oh, wait.
I apologize. It looks like I misinterpreted the message. The set is over.
Oh, okay.
So we're walking away. And good luck to 129 in their losers bracket run. And this, I do think Healthy Diet Food Groups, you know, even before the DC, had a very solid chance of walking away with this game on its own merits, particularly clearing that penalty and having 2 specials online.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a good spot, but look out for 129. They've been on the rise. They're a new team, and they're already there. They're a new team, and they're already threatening to Healthy Diet Food Groups, and they're constantly improving. So, and maybe Qualifier too. We'll see more of them.
Yeah, and we will just have to keep our eyes out on them for later today, you know? We got a long tournament ahead of us. At some point, we will be shifting forward into the losers bracket. So for now, we'll just be continuing trucking on forward with the winner's side of the bracket here while we wait on our next match.
Yep, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to round number 4 of this Splat World Series qualifier number 1. I am Pat, still with Skep, ready to watch more Splatoon action between top level teams. And on the one hand, we have Fruittella, one of the best teams in Europe, going against Artifice.
Yeah, I am so excited for this set.
Mhm.
Like you said, one of the best teams in the West, right? With
Mhm.
Fruittella. And then Artifice, a team that I personally really love to watch play.
Mhm.
They play, fast. They're all mechanically talented. You've got classic players. Sam, Balance, Peta, and then Fox, who's relatively newer. But still equally as talented on that pen. So I'm expecting a very exciting set.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to go very, very fast between these two teams. Starting on Mahi Resort, a map that I absolutely love to watch teams play on. I mean, we'll know right away which team is able to get the edge, and it looks like Artifice are around the zone, painting it, trying to take control, but Fruittella are punishing them for it. With a crab tank, they're gonna take full control of mid, Skep.
Yeah, and we saw the difference there where we saw the pencil on the side of Artifice, Fruittella going around and just painting their own spawn for a cooler, whereas Artifice wanted to go for that first cap, and they weren't able to do so, and by the time they were, Fruittella had already swarmed them and decided to play for the picks instead. So here we go with Artifice, Sam on that left side popping a brilliant crab, a very, the crab player of all time, if you would. Oh my gosh, crazy picks there. But they do manage, it's just Sam left standing.
I mean, Sam is chased around the map trying to maintain presence for Artifice. 25 ticks left on the zone. Artifice is going in with all of their specials. Can they get on it? Yes, they apply penalty, and with a few extra splats, it looks like Fruittella will be forced out of here.
Yeah, and we hear Artifice popping that cooler. We've got Fox there on that bottom right side with that pen, now going to start watching that right drop. And Peta, gradually working their way towards that left side as well. Fruittella has that splash and that, those strikes to work with here as that crab comes out. The strikes at the same time going for that instant cap of the zone, and they do manage to flip it. Artifice loses 2 in that last exchange, and so they're not going to be able to stop Fruittella from actually setting up here in zone. They may hold cap for a moment longer, but unless they get the picks here on this left side, they do! Oh my gosh, Pat!
Oh!
Oh!
Bounce getting the extra splats to maintain the presence for Artifice. Artifice are going to get rid of their penalty and score some more. Right now, Fruittella, who were looking pretty comfortable, needs to get a push right now. And with the crab tank, they're going to go in, but can they get onto the zone right there? They're trying to go in. The Kraken is chasing the crab. The strikes are isolated. The Booyah Boom is falling through, allowing them to apply penalty and keep the lead, but they're pushed away.
This went from Fruittella is cakewalking their way through the game into a situation where now we're 2.5 minutes in, halfway through the game, and this is a relatively fair fight. Artifice does lose 2, and we do see those strikes coming out on that zone. It's Fox on that bottom left side forced to jump out, but that means that Artifice is going to be coming out of their own spawn with specials here to retaliate against Fruittella, especially knowing that they don't have that Booyah to cap the zone.
Oh yes. Crab is there, but the crab is struggling to find the splat. Is going to find it. But meanwhile, the zone was taken by Artifice, who was still in this game. Fruittella winning the first fight, but getting punished right away. Another Kraken to establish more control. It looks like Artifice is back in control of the zone, Skep.
They do manage to lose a bounce there on that 96. However, if they manage to stall this out, which they don't, that could have played out a little bit differently. We do see Fox going down, and it's just Peta on that right side. Peta is relatively alone, but it looks like Punchy is, focusing to look forward towards Sam instead, and that means Punchy's now pinned. Sam is going to pop that crab and start working their way, to help Peta, but Peta forced to play that bottom right side all alone, pop that Booyah, does manage to do so, but does drop into that water. this is now Artifice able to get set up, but they're not, what is happening? That.
I mean, it's a back and forth game. Artifice able to push Fruittella away, able to establish their ground, and right now, in the last minute of this game, they're looking to get Berlin on 2 down. Wait!
This is crazy.
They're in control, they're in full control right now, and Fruittella needs to run forward as soon as they can.
Yeah, and then the Punchy pops that crab, but Bounce and Peta already up there, ready to shred the crab. The strikes are going to come out on zone. That is going to flip it, especially after that booyah. We see Fruittella using those AoE, dislocation specials exclusively to paint the zone. So, with the Blaster up here, Nora pushing all the way up onto that plat. Thankfully, they do back because Fruittella doesn't have a large penalty to clear here, especially if they manage to stop Sam's crab. That could really mess up Artifice's retake.
And right now, 2 down on Artifice. That crab needs to be able to paint the zone. Bounce is going to be taken. And Fruittella taking the lead right at the start of overtime. And that's just game number 1.
I don't think there was a moment. Not to toot my own horn, I think I can understand what goes on in a game of Splatoon much better than the average individual. That being said, there was not a single moment of that game that I knew what was going on or what was going to happen. Fruittella's gonna KO. They're gonna walk away 100-0. They're just eating. Oh, actually, Artifice just came right back, punching right at them.
Yeah.
Artifice has been having really fantastic, holds. They're not going down. We're surviving this with some sort of special. Actually, Fruittella's just gonna insta-cap the zone using their AoE. It just even at the end there, they just needed to clear Sam, but Sam manages to live. But even then, it's just not enough. And just barely losing that. Before OT could even start. It's just frankly shocking. Yeah.
Both of these teams have that ability to force their way forward in a way you don't expect. They're simply, we have 1 special and 2 players. That's all we need. We can get in, we can get the splats, we can get the paint on the zone. And really, these incredibly fast pushes with very few resources that they were able to get allowed both teams to really get the comeback, to really maintain the tension. And now both teams know what to expect from the other ones. Know that you can never be fully comfortable. You're always in danger with these 2 teams.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to a very, explosive set, especially that being game 1. And their comps were not entirely dissimilar from each other's, right? We see that they both have a pen, they both have a sword, they're both using that crab for that long-range AoE. Realistically, the variables that both teams are deciding to work with are really similar. So a lot of this set is going to come down to individual decisions each player makes.
Yeah. And these individual decisions will come on Hammerhead Bridge, which was picked by Artifice.
Okay.
I mean, the pencil and the crab will be very much the weapons to look out for, as you have such a vantage point on the whole zone right here.
I see the vision. Another thing I really see working really well for Artifice here is the Gal with Bounce with the splash wall, playing either of those sides, providing like some nice, 90-degree angle crossfire there out of the zone. So that could potentially be another thing that they're looking forward to is individual strengths on this map mode. That being said, you're talking about the pencil and the splash with the crab.
Yeah.
Fruittella's got one too. So we'll see what they're cooking.
Exactly. Both teams have their range, both teams have their control. Right now, both teams are facing each other across the zone, trying to take control. And it looks like Artifice are winning that first fight this time, putting themselves on top of the zone. And on this map, the second you have control, you move in. And that's where the Kraken is going to help Artifice a lot.
Ooh. Yeah, and then the Pen. Crownie getting the pick on Sam, and now Bounce going down on that right side. It's just Fox and Peta, and they're both realistically pretty leftward. And look at the way that Fruittella is taking those team fights one after one. They were just swarming each of those players individually, and it worked out fantastic for them. So 2 members down on the side of Artifice. It's just Peta here on this left side, called out by Punchy and Crownie, getting rushed down, and that's Punchy going to be able to get that pick. And with it, Fruittella setting themselves up for a nice lockout here.
Yeah, Fruittella in there and getting extra splats. Artifice now it is their turn to try to find a way in, but here comes the Slusher, able to get the good splats and maintaining the presence. All of Fruittella are now on that platform, forcing Artifice to fight just to get near the zone. The Kraken will help with that, but are they able to get in? The Booyah Bomb is not on the zone scape, and there is no paint there.
Yeah, and we still have Fruittella here with this Booyah Bomb. It's going to come on the backside of the members of Artifice, splitting those players up. So Bounce is forced to drop. You know, we see the Fox not able to help their teammates, and it's just Sam on that left side. Now in a splash little 1v1 with Punchy, but not before Fiesta comes in and cleans up that fight for their teammate. Artifice has nothing left to go off of here, Pat. That's going to be game 2. Kraken can't beat the zone.
Fruittella on game 1 on Mahi almost were able to lock Artifice completely out of the map. And Artifice chose a map where it's easier to lock out the other team. And Fruittella took control, and they completely locked Artifice out. They did not let them get near the zone. Beautifully played by Fruittella, getting the break. And now Artifice are on the ropes. Picking instantly Museum, I guess this is like the comfort pick. This is what they know they want to play, but they need to make it work this time.
It's notoriously the best Stamper map, arguably, in the game. You know, Museum. I mean, I think the first time that many of us were like, man, that weapon is unfair. I know it sent one of my former teammates into retirement fighting a Stamper on Museum Zone. So I think that this is for Peta right here.
I mean, Museum certainly, as you said, the map with that huge ledge that is perfect for the Stamper to take that position to really threaten the whole enemy platform. We'll see if Artifice are able to set themselves here, because remember, Fruittella like to take control, like to push forward. It's the kind of map where I can see Fruittella going on the enemy platform and not let Artifice out.
That is an incredibly valid concern. I with a comfort pick like this, one would hope that, you know, maybe that there is some particular intent for how Sam on that crab should be playing if they do manage to get locked out. You know, and in particular, if you have a very aggressive Stamper, you know, dropping on those sides, and baiting Fruittella to give up, you know, the plat. Potentially, that we could see. That's what I'm anticipating, particularly with how quick that they did really lock this map mode in. A lot of narrow choke points for a wall to work off of as well from Bounce. But that being said, I want to reemphasize, Fruittella's practically running the same comp. So we'll see.
Very similar. It's going to be an S-Blast. Wait, that's... What S-Blast is that? That's the vanilla S-Blast. With Sprinkler and Reef Slider. We don't see that one often, but I guess that's what Aaron is decided to run right there. Fruittella opening with lots of control of the zone, but they lose 2 players. It looks like Artifice are going to be able to win a few fights, but here comes the answer with the pencil and the crab on both sides.
One of the biggest differences here that we're seeing, you know, between the weapons that these players are bringing out is where Artifice, you know, they have less AoE. That bucket and that blaster, I mean, look at where they're pushing together. They're holding hands, and they're shooting at the same opponent. Like they're swarming each other's own enemies, and that is something that, you know, we're not seeing Artifice able to do, you know, on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and right now Artifice trying to push in. Thanks to the Kraken, they were able to take some ground to force Fruittella away from the zone. Fruittella, though, answering the call with the strikes, punishing the Zipcaster. That is huge! Right now, Fruittella retakes the zone, not letting Artifice score points.
Yeah, honestly, the Zipcaster on the sword is something that I did want to see moving to this map in particular, and taking control of the opponent's high ground. So very, very awesome to see that from PETA. And we can see, that the members of Fruittella all on that bottom right side, now is the chance for Artifice to take advantage of the fact that they do have a little bit of this longer range, these burst bombs, this stamper, to just simply fly at them. And Sam, how did you? Oh my gosh! I thought that you were going to be dead a lot sooner, Sam. Like that, incredible.
That was a delayed wipe in favor of Fruittella. Right now, Artifice coming back from their spawn, trying to get in the Stamper, not able, or only able to get a trade against the S-Blast. The Kraken is kinda alone. That's not enough to paint. As Fruittella right now, punishing left and right, 2 down. Make that 3. They keep the zone.
Yeah, and this is realistically Artifice's last chance to break in, and they lose Fox. Beautiful pick there from Nora on that blaster. And PETA, it does have the Zipcaster, but that Zipcaster is realistically the only tool that they have for re-entry here. It's got to be good, it's got to be perfect, and it's got to be clean, and it's not. And with that, Fruittella getting pick after pick that they need in order to stall out Artifice and taking a very clean 3-0.
Yeah, beautiful game. We saw Artifice bring the fight to Fruittella on game 1. But then Fruittella learned, adapted, and Artifice could not keep up with the pace that Fruittella was giving us. And that's a reminder that they're one of the best teams in Europe. They're very much one of these teams that you have to go through if you want to qualify for the Splat World Series. And that's clean 3-0 Artifice, great team, but that's losers bracket for them.
It says so much about the level of play, that we're at, where these phenomenal players that would curb stop any weekly bracket, or at least place very well in it. The players that you want to scrim because they will beat you and make you better. That we're seeing them, take on opponents like Fruittella and really showing how much room there really still is for not just for them to grow as players, but for our scene to continue to push ourselves. That it really is just those differences over time. The better you get at the game, the higher you climb. That add up to such drastic differences in results.
Oh, and Skep, look at the bracket right now. Can we get back to the winners brackets, please, Dorian? It's 3-0 for Fruittella versus Artifice, and the other quarters are all 2-0s right now. We have heavy hitters coming to fight in this tournament, and going on to the semis. That's going to be pretty intense action, Skep.
The bracket buzzsaws have started to sort themselves out and to cut their way out of the bracket and make a space for themselves. So that's where we're at, where these players are that much better than everyone that we've been seeing so far. And that's no disrespect to anyone. That's just massive respect to the players who put in the work to be this good at a game that we all love.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure and an honor to watch you and commentate your games. But Skep, I believe it's time for us to go. It's time for us to say goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye for now. But we aren't going anywhere with the broadcast. Pat and I will be, walking away for a little bit before we bring on our next commentators, who will be back to finish the rest of this excellent bracket, Pat.
Yes, more games to watch, more action for you. I cannot wait, but for us, it's time to say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You all have a wonderful day. Stay fresh.
Was it all
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Splat World Series here on Splatoon Tourney, presented by IPL. My name is Flyer. I am joined with somebody who I get to see in about 6 or 7 weeks in Sandusky, Ohio. Saf, how are you today?
But you reminding me how close Riptide is. It's upon us. I'm so happy to see your face today. Hello. Wow. Splat World Series, Falco. Pretty cool. Pretty neat. FTWin and New Meta coming in to round us off in the first round of semis.
Yeah, I mean, FTWin, a team that really needs no introduction. New Meta, a lot of you know the players too, won the last 2 paddling pools as well. These 2 Goliaths are about to go head-to-head, like you mentioned, in the winners semis. Now, you don't have to win this entire tournament. You just have to place in top 2 to clinch that qualifying spot for the Splat World Series that will happen in early August. So we get down to it. We're still in the winner's side of bracket. That's great for these 2 teams. Makes their path to victory a little bit more easy, but again, there's really no, at this point in the game, Saf, there are no teams remaining who definitely don't deserve a spot to be there.
Totally. I mean, something I really enjoyed today, Falco, is that we are not just seeing like the best of the best in the world come together on this bracket here, but you have folks that are like lower to mid-level here. Like you have the team Blitz, composed of, I believe that's Kronos, Rice, Westy, and Nerd, or one other person. Like they played in Sea Battle, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, hi, I get to see you on the World Series stage. Like that's so cool. And then also like Healthy Diet Food Groups, which like, wow, getting to see them play earlier today. Talk about another team that has really been jumping in the ranks lately and really putting in the work to be here today. 100%, but looking forward with FTWin and New Meta, especially trying to crush their way through the bracket. I think it's funny that people try to predict, will FTWin get in today? Most times it's more often yes they will, and I'm not anticipating anything less from them coming into Manta Maria.
Yeah, let's hop into our first game. Like you mentioned, Manta Maria, we are starting off with Splat Zones. Still in the best of 5 situation. We'll take a look at the comps. Of course, Kia playing on the bucket that we know and love to see him play. And Isabel on those Tetras, one of the best Tetra players that we have in the Western scene, Saf.
Yeah, and I like that we get to hang out with them today here on the main stage. You can see Isabel also rocking those. Oh, wait, no, that is what you're talking about, Isabel with the Tetras, right?
Yes.
yes. Okay, I was like, wait, and then there's another Tetra. No, we're still just talking about Isabel. But speaking of Isabel, an opening statement being made here, immediately taking Kyo out of the fight. That's a 2v2 situation, a soft wipe onto New Meta here. You can see Pina down on the center stage trying to take a fight with Lucas. Now, Lucas, Falco, one of the best brush players to be coming out of the European scene. Really glad to see that they get to take in the fight today.
Yeah, and what I really like what Awaken did there was, you know, they were the pencil player backed up into a corner and said, hey, this way, come help save me. I'm in a 1v1, but I know you can sneak up. Shark and Lulu exactly just took care of business. But now we're at a stalemate here with FTWin finally cleaning up a little bit and taking control of zones, getting the lead. And look at this, Kyo and Bursty not afraid to push up there. Kyo going on one of the ledges, Lulu and Isabel able to take them down. And now specials are going to be coming out on the side of New Meta as they're trying to poke back in one by one, but Bursty and crew still able to help clean up.
He said let them take their specials because we have ours up our sleeves as well. The Tri-Strike really allowing Bursty the space to hold on to that Crab Tank. FTWin just ticking down this timer, and now the Crab Tank finally being popped to help and assist with the fight. Pena looking to try to see if they can entice the players of New Meta down into this street area with Bursty in tow as well. 30 points remaining for FTWin.
Yeah, you know, this is where I think for New Meta, they haven't had a solid 4 at all, you know, since their opening push, and there's no sign of them now. You just have Awaken who can go for one last hurrah towards the zone, but this one is all said and done. FTWin doing FTWin things that we've seen them do many times, leading the set 1-0 against New Meta.
I mean, you gotta appreciate the stagnation that FTWin was able to like push onto New Meta, because like you just said, there was really no instance where you could see all 4 players of New Meta on the screen at the same time. Like, it was very few and far in between kind of throughout the entire matchup. So I'm wondering, with moving forward, FTWin really needs to be continuing to push these 2 versus 1 fights. You gotta appreciate earlier in this match too, Kyo and Bursty really paving the way for success for FTWin to continue the fight, mostly on the side of New Meta's map.
Yeah, you know, New Meta, they started off pretty strong, meaning they contested pretty well with FTWin at the beginning of that game. But I mean, it's just something that is so routine for FTWin to, all right, we're going to get the zone. We know exactly what positions we want to be in when we push up. And there was no opportunity for New Meta to do anything beyond that. And I mean, this is one of the quickest Splat Zone games that we have seen on stream today, for both of our streams here on Splatoon Tourney and on IPL. But a textbook win here for FTWin. Now remember, in the winners semis right now, there are only 4 teams who are still in the winners bracket. On the other side, over on IPL, you have Moonlight versus Fruittella. Fruittella, we just saw previously in our set that they got that victory over the hamster. Is that a hamster or mouse? Sendo's being, I can't really tell.
Hamster.
It's a hamster. Okay.
Time
Hamster
to learn
emoji.
your rodents. Time to learn your rodents.
There's no better person to teach me about rodents than you, Saf. So I appreciate that.
You know, only on Splatoon Tourney can you actually sit and talk about Splatoon and learn your rodent phytogenetic tree at the same time, which actually looks a lot like this winner bracket right here. FTWin being the first seed in this tournament. I mean, if you look at the top, Falco, look at that. Just zeros and full matches all the way down for FTWin. I mean, looking to really punch in that qualifier spot today, because I feel like they kind of have it set in stone, and New Meta's going to try to actually counterpick them with Inkblot Art Academy, which I don't know if you can counterpick the counterpick of all time against one of the teams of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if success is going to be in the wings here for New Meta, considering the circumstances, but I'm actually very hopeful to see what they want to try, and how do you want to try to move an immovable object, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's no right solution when you are facing the #1 seed, but their choice is to go back to Splat Zones. We're going to be on Inkblot Art Academy. They're going to want to run this back, it seems, and really similar comps that we had seen before. We do have the new mini Splatling come out, but identical comps from the previous game on the side of FTWin. So we're going to be seeing the Beacon and Zukas come out this time from Ugori, as we'll see if New Meta, they had a good initial push on that first game. We'll see if they're able to counter that, but I think with Rayfear just, you know, not getting the splats, but getting a lot of the chip damage needed for their team could help push them towards getting the first cap. But no, it's actually going to be New Meta who's going to be taking that over, and this is the better start than what they've had, and a better duration of what they've had, but 3 are going to go down, so not able to hold on to it very long. Kyo is going to catch them in a 1v1 versus Agori, and they're going to be going down. Isabel's going to be jumping there as well, caught in a 2v1, and they are going to go down. So FTWin, it looks like they're back in position, what they were doing exactly during game 1.
And Lucas trying to see if they can take the flank side of the highway, but Kyo said, hey man, no thanks, get out of the left lane, move over into the passing lane for Pena to come through and actually help Kyo out, opening up the door on the plat here. FTWin looking pretty solid in this midsection here. Isabel looking to try to see if they can make an opening for New Meta and try to work something out here, which, by the way, triple splashdown coming into the forefront here. Is that something that you can use on the top middle section, and it'll also help you out on the bottom section here? Only time will tell. What does Bursty have to say about this missile farming going on from Agori? Immediately going to shut that one down before the third shot even comes out.
You know, what I think is going to be tricky for New Meta's comp here is they have 2 weapons that are very strong with flanking, but if you don't have anything to follow that up with or any support, if you get caught flanking, then you're just going to be an easy body that's going to be down. And unfortunately, that's kind of what's been happening for them. But finally, at this moment, New Meta able to contest, desperately needing to get that zone. That splashdown came just a little bit too late, but finally giving 73 penalty points to FTWin. New Meta able to hold on. Again, they have some players down, but they have just a little bit more life to breathe during this game.
jumping out I'm seeing from new meta as well, and the triple splashdown really actually opening the way for some things to try and see if they can make a statement here. But FTWin solidly putting their foot down on the zone, once again chipping away at this penalty. Pina watching out for the drops here. You can see 3 members of new meta being alive. Lucas going to take a chance to try to open something up, but it's actually going to lead to the detriment of Bursty coming through with that crab tank on the plat of new meta once again. New meta not having really any footing down in the center section here. The tri-strike's going to try to displace Lucas, but with the stamp coming through here, is that going to be enough? And it will be a huge pick coming out on the pencil by Lucas, and actually make it 2. That's Bursty going down as well.
Yeah, Lucas is doing such a good job, like you mentioned, getting to using that stamp as well, and just overall causing chaos. Really an unstoppable force in this game. They need to keep this momentum going. We have just about 2 minutes remaining. FTWin, obviously, they've been in a position where they've been down and had to get the cap at the last moment. They have a lot of specials that can help them out with the crab and strikes. But when you're 3 players down, Saf, that does not make it easy. And look where Lucas is going to be going, just trying to get part of that wall to potentially jump on and squid surge their way up. A lot of map control now for new meta, but Bursty's going to be using the crab. Isabel going to be using that splash down, going to be taken down, but will they have enough time to hold on? Kina is going to be going in with the strikes as well to counter the cap. 2 are down on new meta. That is a big game-saving win here for FTWin, and just saving their lead by 2 units. A ton of penalty points on both sides.
Yeah, and you gotta appreciate Kyo holding on to that last tri-strike in the dire heat of the moment, because they were able to throw it on that left-hand side of the zone when we were looking top down, and that kind of sealed the deal for taking the zone back in to FTWin's hands. However, new meta looking to try to eliminate this penalty, and then some, trying to get down and see if they can go toe-to-toe with 50 seconds left remaining. That's 1 apiece down on each team here. Agori with the Trizuka ready to go. 3 members trying to jump down for FTWin side. Agora going to be opening up the side unless Isabel can really do something with Bursty here. Lucas, unfortunate, falling down into the fray of things, and Isabel getting tripped up on the side and clamped out. That is FTWin taking center stage on the middle section here with just seconds left to go.
Yeah, if you're new meta, your timer is going to run out just as FTWin could potentially get that knockout. So you only have 1 more opportunity to build up your specials and to try and prolong this game. But right now, it might be looking like it could work 2v2 situation. Just 1, just Kyo who's alive. And that isn't going to be a cap. New meta lives to see another day.
In the overtime, no less, you have 2 players getting set up. Awaken trying to open the door for Agori. Trizuka gonna come out. That's 2 shots, make it 3. All 3 members back on the back end for FTWin are still alive. We now have specials coming out. That's the Stamper with the special. That's Tri-Strike trying to paint the zone here. But still, new meta firmly grasping the zone and not going to be letting go of it at any point here. The crab tank maybe going to open something up. That's 2 members going down. And with the toppling of control, that's FTWin still maintaining their hold on the win streak here.
What a dynamic change from game 1, where we saw FTWin just steamroll their way through that game. New meta, obviously, they struggled a little bit during this one as well, but they were able to save the zone just in time to get it to overtime. And Saf, they were only 2 units away from getting the lead before penalty points kicked in. So something had changed with them. It could have been the map, it could have been the stage, it could have been something, but let's take a look at this replay. I have to cough, so please speak for me.
Well, I really think we got to be looking at Lucas here, because Lucas consistently paved the way for new meta to come in via the flank and get something cooking for new meta. And actually, I'm talking about this moment right here, throwing in that hammer on to Bursty and taking them out of the map, or actually not Bursty, onto Wraith, but then taking the fight to Bursty up on that ramp, though. You could see all of the members of new meta completely pushed up, being confident that the zone is going to be maintaining in their control. So Lucas paving the way play consistently for New Meta here. However, this is where the tides really turned on this top-down view, because New Meta had a firm hold, but then Isabel getting called out in the corner, asking for help. Lucas's flank got called out, and Bursty ultimately being the successor with the help of Pina in that fight there. So a lot of times it kind of came down to having the assistant from your friends to come and jump in and help out with the finishing, the closing of the book, if you will. However, I do think that FTWin needs to be on the lookout for Lucas. You can't let the Brush open that door. You can't let them.
Right. There aren't a ton of Brush players who compete at the level as FTWin plays. So it's one thing when you're used to playing a player who specializes in shooters and pencils, weapons that you see all the time in top level. Brush is not one of those weapons. There are very few players who can compete at this level. So going to game 3, New Meta, they are going to be counter-picking Scorch Gorge. Over on the other side of the bracket, Moonlight did defeat... actually, is that one still going on? I'm pulling it up right now. No, the 1-0 over Fruittella, yes.
Okay.
So that one is still going on, but let's hop in, excuse me, to game 3. Sorry about that.
I need to pass the lozenges. Somebody pass the lozenges and the lemonade over to Falco. We're trying to sit on our lawn chairs and relax and watch some Splatoon. My goodness gracious. There's no time for coughing or being sick, especially on Scorch Gorge zones. Hello.
Yeah, we're going to see a ballpoint come out this time on the side of New Meta, switching to the other dualies. I didn't even get a chance to see what specials Summit has. You don't see it super often, but they're going to be going down. FTWin going to be in control pretty quickly here. One of their members going to go down as well. They're going to be cooler too. So Kio's going to be trying to make some quick work of going on the bridge. Says, nope, I'm just going to be jumping out. I think I'm going to be better, more use over here. And I mean, a big skirmish in mid, but FTWin seems to be walking away with all these 1v1s, 2v2 staff.
Comfortable positioning coming out from FTWin. You just have a switch in buckets coming out from Kyo and the usage of the screen. So a lot of area control and blockage coming out from FTWin. Visibility is key here for FTWin. You don't want to be seen, especially coming in with the screen. Kyo looking to try to call Isabel down on that left-hand side here, but it looks like New Meta is going to really try to make an entrance with Oguri, looking to use the Inkjet to provide Isabel some safe passage. And now a third special pop coming out from Lucas there, winning the fight with Pina. And Kyo is kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place here. Maybe Rave can try to help out with some paint damage. However, Kyo is kind of trying to take the center stage by themselves there, but Bursty able to help them out, but Kyo unfortunately going down. It's kind of just a scrap fight in mid. Finally, New Meta is here to stake a claim.
Yeah, that is nice. That was a very long contest for New Meta and FTWin. And FTWin, they were really hoping they could hold on to it to try and get this knockout. But they started this game very similar to how they started game 1. So they've adapted even after game 2 and still just winning all these 1v1 staff.
Yeah, and consistently, not just only winning the 1v1s, but the team fight as well has just really been in FTWin's favor with this one. But again, here comes Lucas, though, on the left-hand side. Kyo, though, being way more confident in shutting that down. Lucas, unfortunately, not allowing time for Isabel to really do much either. It's FTWin is just stonewalling New Meta here.
Yeah, and I mean, just the fact that they have so much paint scattered everywhere on the map, they have so many places that they can go hide, get a quick recharge, and just scope out where members of New Meta are going to be dropping in. The Booyah is going to be coming out as well. That's going to take control of the cap. Lucas is going to go down to Bursty's Crab as members of FTWin still in control, 2-player advantage. They're going to get, it looks like they're in position to get this win, Saf.
Yeah, it looks like Pina and Bursty were kind of just taking a look at it all before the counter ticked down to 0. That's FTWin continuing the streak of a 3-0 sweep and looking to see if they can move forward into that kind of final spot. Falco, I think FTWin, that means that FTWin is moving on through the qualifier. That means that they do punch a ticket into the finals, yes?
Well, they have... Yeah, I mean, they have winner. If they win winners finals, because remember, if you lose winners finals, then you're going to be facing the winner of the losers bracket. So they do need one more to go. So not quite yet. Remember, we don't play the grand finals. We don't play the bracket reset, but you win finals in a winners bracket, you are guaranteed a spot. but there are a lot of competition still, especially going on in the losers bracket. I mean, talk about we saw Bong earlier perform very well. They're facing kind of Duck Motif right now, who's leading 1-0. Over on IPL that y'all can still watch is Moonlight versus Fruittella. That is still reported at a 1-0 game as well. So, I mean, that's I guess what you get when you see the number 1 seed get the 3-0. Obviously, FTWin has not dropped a game here yet today, Seth.
And I also want to point out that Fruittella and Moonlight happening over on the IPL channel, they have similar stories in scoring for today. They both did really well in their first set, both dropped a game in their second set, and then 3-0'd their way down into their third set. So, looking to be a pretty challenging fight between Fruittella and Moonlight happening on IPL. But looking down at this losers bracket of things too, I'm excited to see who's going to fight their way through the fray to the top of the losers bracket. Because like you said, a lot of competition showing up today. Anticipating who's going to be kind of at the top. I'm hoping to see another fight between Moonlight and FTWin, just as anybody else does back at home, I think. We really appreciate that type of battle, but I also think Fruittella, on paper, is in the same category. So, I mean, who's to say?
Right, and remember, the top 4 in the winners bracket were seeds 1, 2, 3, and 5. Eternal Flowers is seed number 4. They actually did lose in the losers bracket to Honkai, so they are eliminated. I have to cough again. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. My co-producer here is having the time of his life right now.
I was sick I was sick earlier this week, and then by like Thursday I was like, "Oh, I feel better. That's great." And I realized I hadn't had to talk as much as I've been talking today. So now it's like all coming back. I'm like, "Oh my god, okay." But
oh my god, it's all coming back.
It's all coming back. No, just, post land, post GOML, post travel, all that fun stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, we had 37 teams, I believe, sign up today. So quite a bit of competition. Obviously, there's more than one chance that teams can qualify for the Splat World Series. There's going to be a qualifier next week as well. So plenty of opportunities for a lot of people. But we are... Oh, no, okay. I thought we were going to take a quick break. I guess we are not. We're going to be headed over to a losers bracket match now. It's going to be Healthy Diet Food Groups versus Pathway. So we saw Healthy Diet Food Groups earlier. Yeah, I know. This will be a good one, though, Saf. This will be fun.
I love Healthy Diet Food Groups. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, tell me more. Tell me something about this Eevee player that you may know about.
Well, okay, listen, love Funky Eevee, love him, but also Healthy Diet Food Groups I love because it's to me, it's a similar story that we've been seeing with Free Flow lately, where you have a team that, you would see maybe something on like FNF, right? On like Friday Night Friday. You have a team that's like, oh yeah, yay, okay, Healthy Diet Food Groups, but it's like, no, Healthy Diet Food Groups has been like showing up. They have been showing up, and I feel that they are trying to crush their way through upper mid-level. They want a stake in a chance of top level, and the players are also proving that time and time again. And they're proving that as well by playing in LANs. They keep going to LANs with different pickups. I wish that they could play together. That would be really great. But they go to LANs with different pickups and are like trying to make a name for themselves, and I really think that them as well as Free Flow are really doing that. So I'm just happy and tickled pink to get to watch Healthy Diet Food Groups, and I also am excited to see Pathway because I mean you have Miner, who is just an absolute beast on that bucket, and I also like that you have Bamboo and Carbon playing together as well on Healthy Diet. Like it's a good fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is a scary, fast, unpredictable comp that you're facing. 2 juniors on both sides as well, so might see some junior versus junior action, a lot of splat bombs going out. Pathway going to be taking the first cap right now. One of their players is going to be down as well. Mondi trying to seek out who they can go for. Going to be jumping back to spawn, and look at this, already pushed up. That was Rice Ball, who was able to just identify a few players and try and lock them out, but the zone now being contested once again. Will Healthy Diet hold on and keep it? Yes, they are going to. So this stage is so hard because it's one of the only zones where mid is elevated above like pretty much any other part. So that's how we're going to see buckets really thrive on this stage.
I like how Jelly Roll has just been consistently staying close to the zone as well. Like, they just keep, popping that bubble. They give so much space for Walnut to get themselves in a safer position. They give so much room for Pineapple as well to try and shark around the sides of the zone. And so much painting power coming out from Healthy Diet Food Groups, too. You have Pathway, finally, Mondi that's breaking in with their own bubble to try to provide some space passage for Pathway to try to make a move here, taking zone just very briefly, but losing 2 players in the process and 2 specials online for Healthy Diet Food Groups.
Yeah, I mean, they did get a lot of penalty points that they're getting through, but they're having no problem doing this. I like how spread out they are, especially with Rice Ball over on the right side, identifying one of the players, taking them out with Jelly Roll and Pineapple, able to help support as well. So they have all of their ledges covered, which is great. Going to be using the Zuka as well. Miner's going to be countering that with some strikes to try and go for the zone. It is going to be enough, so... but at the sacrifice of 2 of your players, so all that's going to do is give Healthy Diet Food Group some penalty, which, you know, is good for you, but at the end of the day, you don't gain or lose any position on your map.
Yeah, and to me, it seems like the folks on Pathway are a little concerned with jumping down into that pit area because here comes Pineapple. Pineapple is right there to respond. And I mean, if you're nervous about taking a step down, there's also Rice Ball at the other end of the map because look at that Junior now going down. You can see that Spec is trying to take a fight with Rice Ball, finding success there. Jelly Roll trying to help out. Pineapple jumping in to try to help out too. No penalties standing in the way for Healthy Diet Food Groups as Tri-Strikes come out to try to cover up that zone, and quickly Pathway is going to put a stop to that run.
Yeah, that was a much needed cap there. Of course, they don't have a lot of penalty points they have to get through, but I mean, Healthy Diet Food Groups, even if they lose the zone, they still have some map control. They're not being pushed back. They're not being locked out by any members of Pathway. So they're just right back into it. So Pathway's still just really looking for the opportunity to get a 2-3 player advantage that they haven't had yet. But of course, if you're Spec, you're going to be getting a really nice snipe with your Stamper. You're going to have Booyah ready as well, but you're going to get traded, unfortunately. And you're not. They are cooler too, so they're going to be keeping that Booyah. So again, a stalemate now, but it doesn't really matter if you're Pathway because you just need to find a way that you're going to have some sort of tactical advantage.
One thing I want to point out about Pathway too is consistently you can see that they try to come in as a team. You can even watch it happening right in front of us here. That's 3 different members of Pathway looking to try to make entrance into this zone here, but consistently Healthy Diet Food Groups is spread out, honestly, to right into the kind of to the brink. They're spread out all the way across the map here because immediately they're trying to take the opponents away from the objective here because they pick them out one by one when they try to go in. You could see the Junior going down by Pineapple, and still Pathway has to expend so many resources to even get something cooking here, and that's just because Healthy Diet Food Groups is already there to respond and take those resources away from the primary spot in the battle. So I think moving forward here, Healthy Diet Food Groups has to keep on pulling these players out from the forefront because Pathway has not been able to have success in a team fight yet. I know this is team 1, but like consistently, Pathway is just really struggling with the team fight.
Right. There were moments, like you mentioned, that, okay, we get a trade here and there, we can cap the zone, but we're not doing anything that's benefiting us to get us the lead, or we don't have a plan that we're setting us set for beyond that. So, I mean, Healthy Diet Food Group 2, this is their first game in the losers bracket. They got knocked out by Moonlight 3-0, so they were waiting just for a little bit. And Pathway, they've made a 2 victory run in the losers bracket, beating Satis, and then it wasn't Hamster, it was the other, what was the other animal? The emoji. What did we say before?
Well, you said like a rat, I think, or a mouse. You were like, is that a mouse or is it a?
But it is a hamster. Okay, so I was correct.
Hamster.
Okay. So yeah, you can take a look here at the losers bracket, of course, as we're focusing on that game on the middle there. Healthy Diet Food Group's leading 1-0 now. They're going to be facing, the winner of Artifice and Cam Last Min. All right. their winner of those teams, who then will face the winner against New Meta. So again, a lot of tough competition here in the losers bracket. Let's hop into game 2. We are going on to Museum d'Alfonsino. Again, all Splat zones here in the Splat World Series qualifiers. So taking a look at the comps, once again, we see that Carbon Bamboo combination, both juniors still staying as well. So it really is just going to be, can Pathway find a way to get a player advantage, push up on the enemy spinner, and get a lockout? They're going to be getting the very first quick cap, but we'll see if it's enough for them to hold on to.
I think the utilization of Bubble by both Healthy Diet Food Groups and Pathway here, because they've both been like easily it's been equal parts a defensive bubble to try to gain some space, but then offensive at the same time, because you have your Slayers kind of moving in and out in between protection and trying to entice people to try to fight over underneath in between the shield per se. But before we can really do anything, Falco, let's talk about Pathway for a second, because we're already past the 50-point mark here.
Yeah, this is a huge turnaround from what we saw in game 1. We mentioned that they needed to find a way to hold on to the zone once they have it. They've certainly done that and kept up their player advantage. 2 are down on Healthy Diet Food Groups. Jelly Roll is going to have to back up as Miner is going to be chasing them out. We could easily see a 100-0 KO here. Chumps are going to be coming out. Maybe will they beat? No, that's not going to be enough. That's going to be a very easy 100-0 victory for Pathway against Healthy Diet Food Groups. Again, very different from what we saw in game 1, where they were able to hold on to the zone for a few seconds at a time, get an early lead, and then lose it, and Healthy Diet would just kind of contend and beat them at their game. But something turned around there, Saf, and Pathway, they are tying the setup 1-1.
Wait, content creators out there that want to create a video about how to use specials appropriately and well-timed, and specifically time it or focus it on Booyah Bomb, I'm telling you right now, just watch that setback. Because the way that Booyah Bomb landed where it did and took Jelly Roll and Pineapple out at the same time with, I want to say it wasn't even like under 20 seconds, or no, it was about under 20 seconds. I believe it was about right here. At this point, you could see Jelly Roll trying to come back in. You already have Spec and Mondi set up on the right-hand side there, so Walnut is already 2-1 with seconds left remaining. I mean, that was just picture-perfect timing. That I can't really say anything else other than that. Like, the Booyah Bomb was just well-timed, and it unfortunately took out 2 people. Like, end of story.
Yeah, I mean, your Healthy Diet Food Groups, you're kind of scrambling at those last few moments to break back in. It makes sense they're going to go down. Remember, losers bracket, only a best of 3, so this is a set decisive game. Loser goes home, winner stays to see another day here in our first qualifier. Comps, again, not changing at all, really, for either team. Different Carbon coming out this time. We are going to be seeing the Chumps. They had that one before, but with the Fizzy, so a lot of chip damage coming out from Pineapple, hoping to turn it around for this game.
Okay, double chump with Healthy Diet Food Group. So I'm really adjusting my monocle. My spectacles are on. I'm really going to be paying attention moving forward here, because check out Rice Ball just kind of waiting for the feeding frenzy to occur. Pathway has not really made an entrance into this yet. The bubble also being popped by Jelly Roll on the top there. That's going to provide a lot of coverage and blocking a lot of space and entry for Pathway. Hopefully Specs Booyah Bomb can really change something here with Strikes to follow up. Chumps really not finding too much value on zone. However, Chumps though coming out once again though, Falco, look at that. No Chumps making their way to the zone for Healthy Diet.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to be enough for them. And remember, this is one of the smaller zones when you push up onto your enemy side. There's really not much room you can go to. So I feel like offensive chumps are going to be played towards the advantage given the opportunities. A really nice bubble there for Jelly Roll, as they were just making sure that nobody could shoot or drop through that little ledge. Healthy Diet Food Group still in control now, under 50 remaining. I do like how spread out they are. Not much on the lockout side, just waiting for members to drop, especially going to wait for some of these strikes and Booyah to come through from Pathway. Will it be enough for them to cap? No, and unfortunately for them, they're going to go 2 down. Cooler's going to be out so they can at least get a little quick drink and try and get back in this fight. But I don't know, they really need to get towards the zone. Unfortunately for them, they don't have any specials ready. Healthy Diet Food Group's trying to just hold on for one last little bit with the help of the Booyah. They do. So that is game, set, and match there for Healthy Diet Food Groups. Winning this one 3-0. This set, it's unfortunate it only goes to game 3. A best of 3. This could easily be a best of 7, and it would go back and forth this whole time.
Yeah, there was a lot more to say about Pathway, I feel like. I feel happy for Healthy Diet Food Groups that they get to move forward. That's great. But I feel cheated because I feel like there was more to this story with Pathway. There was more to be talked about with Pathway. In this opening here, you can see, once again, the chumps. None of the chumps making their way in zone whatsoever. So Pathway really just had a struggle of a time trying to get out of this the front area here, because I mean, it was literally down to the wire. Like, we're already down to the 3-second mark. Obviously the bubble and the Booyah Bomb really helping Healthy Diet out here. Pathway didn't even break out of the first 90. Just maybe not a strong map mode potentially. Maybe just not a strong map for them. Because just that second game really told us something different.
I know, and it's like it's great we're seeing all splat zones. This is what, you know, the scene wanted. This is what Japan typically runs anyways. I'm curious how they would have performed on other modes, but that's not the point of this. That's for a different time later. But just how dominant Pathway was for game 2. Like you mentioned, there's a lot more that we don't know, that we still need to kind of unpack a little bit. But Healthy Diet Food Groups, at the end of the day, they do get the set win. They are going to be moving on to facing Cam Last Min. So that one will be coming up next, either on here or IPL. We just kind of wait till Jorian tells us what we're doing. But there's not that many teams remaining. Of course, we're making a pretty quick run through the losers bracket because all of it is best of 3. And honestly, in round 6, three of the 4 went to a game 3, Saf. So that is always very impressive. We love to see it. But we will be waiting for the next match. Over on the winner's side, did they play out? No, FTWin and Moonlight have not faced off yet. That one will very likely be on IPL very shortly, so you don't want to miss that one. The winner of that game is going to clinch their spot for the Splat World Series. And remember, there's only 4 more spots remaining in the West. 4 were clinched during Super Jump. But here, the teams competing, they know what's at stake. They know what they're fighting for. For Super Jump, there are some teams who just couldn't do it because it was kind of it was like a secondhand reward. It wasn't meant to be the prize of that tournament. But for the qualifier and the qualifier next week, that is what's at stake. All of these teams are playing to compete for that chance, for that 1 in 8 spot of competing against the best in all of Splatoon around the world.
And isn't it so fun and great to be a part of that and watch over time something like this come together? Because it's like you said, this isn't just the Americas, if you will. Like this is the whole world. Like, we're talking about Japan, we're talking about Europe, we're talking about us in the US. Like, we have so many people coming out to play today and collaborating on an event like this. And I want to say also shout out to Beep, the broadcasting production of Beep, because they are doing some serious work here to try to get statistics for you all, so you can actually see like in-depth actual data coming from these games, like with kill count, with different like death and assist, and like who got the most on what team. Like, you're gonna be getting more and more information you could even ask for because of these folks helping out with on IPL. So very big shout out to them for that. Not
to mention all of the pre-game stuff that they do on their podcast, and I'm sure post analysis that could happen this week with the preview of the second qualifier as well. Always some great stuff there at Beep, and we're glad that they can partner with IPL for a few of those metrics. It's a lot of fun. We are going to be seeing Bong versus BADVXLLIAN coming up next.
Villain.
I know. We're going to go to Wahoo World, for better or for worse, if that's your jam. One of the smallest zones in this game, definitely has a small zone for the stage here. I think can one Booyah Bomb cap the zone? I'm not entirely too sure. I think it can.
Yes, it can.
Yeah, okay.
It can do that. Even with the pole in the middle, it don't matter. It don't matter.
Pole. Yeah. aim for the bottom of the pool. That's going to be a lot of fun to see. Again, still in a best of 3 situation. The winner of this is going to be facing New Meta, who then the winner of that, of course, you know, looking forward, is going to be facing the loser of FTWin versus Moonlight. I feel like FTWin versus Moonlight, those are 2 teams that we were, you know, they're seeded 1 and 2 for a reason. Between the 2 qualifiers, they're both expected to make it. Obviously, they have to go through the motions and earn their spot there anyways, but here's a better look at the winners bracket. They are waiting to play, as they're going to be waiting until the rest of the bracket kind of catches up as well. So but our players are getting situated for their set here. For BONG and BADVXLLIAN, talking a little bit about their history so far today. Let's pull that up right now. I believe BONG has they've had a decent no, they beat Kind of Duck Motif 2-1 to get into this spot, and BADVXLLIAN beat Honkai. So both of the teams winning 1 game in the losers bracket and now getting to this situation. Of course, both of them going to a game 3 of 3. So there's a lot of not sweeps, Saf, for this entire tournament. It's really cool.
Pickup? BONG is partially a synergy pickup because you have Nick. I believe that's Nick from Synergy, and Bab. I think Bab is Babsy. Or no.
Ori and Grape as well are competing too. So yeah, this will be a lot of fun to see. And again, I just can't get over the fact that you only have a best of 3. Of course, it being the first qualifier, that's a little bit better for teams who want to, you know, try and really secure that spot. Let's hop into game 1 as we get ourselves situated here. This is going to be loser semifinals. Once again, we're going to be seeing the S-Blast come out from Cats. We're going to be seeing the Stamper, a very, very early meta traditional comp on the side of BONG. That is like 2022 Splatoon 3 comp right there.
Yeah, and it's a mix of like old and new, so you got to really appreciate that on the side of. Oh no, that's BADVXLLIAN actually. So BONG. Well, BONG is also trying to do something that's pretty close to the original meta of the game, so that is actually kind of fun. But from the top-down view here, you can see BADVXLLIAN is actually going to be the victorious team in maintaining their hold on the zone here. 3 members of BONG looking to try to make an entrance, and the crab tank is going to really help out with that. That's 2 members down. Look at Nick trying to take on the bottom hand side here. Ori looking to try to help on the right, and with tri-strikes coming out too. Still though, just a second too late on those tri-strikes to help out with that. That's BADVXLLIAN briefly capping.
Yeah, BADVXLLIAN getting to that 60. A good start here as we get situated. And again, this is loser round 6, not loser semis, just so you guys know how many losers rounds there are in this tournament. There's quite a lot of action to go. BONG able to secure it. Is it going to be enough for them to hold on? I don't think it is with 2 players down and a crab out. No, the crab is going to help take it over. So BADVXLLIAN with enough paint to try and push forward and save the zone. Of course, they have quite a bit of penalty points they need to get through. Nick is trying to get some kills there, is able to get 1, able to take down 2 with Grape, but then Nick is going to go down. We see the Pencil trying to poke their way through as well. BADVXLLIAN going to be running out of penalty points. They lose it, but also lose control of the zone. We'll see if they have enough that they can just take it back, but with Grape getting themselves ready in a crab, I think this is going to be a position it's going to be much more difficult for BADVXLLIAN to try and push in.
And you gotta really give props to the cooler acting kind of as a beacon for people, because it attracts good and bad. It attracts the good because you have to go and get your drinks so you can stay in the game. It attracts the bad because you know that the other players are trying to go and get drinks so that they can stay in the game. So you kind of have a mix of both worlds coming out from the cooler, and you got to see that kind of earlier on, which allowed BONG to really maintain their hold on the zone here. The Booyah Bomb is going to maybe temporarily cause them to fold. That's BADVXLLIAN coming in through, but the crab tank is really going to be helping out for some defensive coverage, but it's not going to be quite enough. BADVXLLIAN is going to make sure they're here to stay.
Yeah, BADVXLLIAN just trying to hold on. Again, just a lot of skirmishes going on, 1v1s, 2v2 situation. There's been no solid lockout for either of these teams, but BONG really trying to make the most of this right now, pushing some members of BADVXLLIAN out, and it looks like it's not working out as much for them, but they're still able to hold on to the zone. Of course, they're trying to get past that penalty point marker. A crab is going to be coming out. Cooler is out as well. Oh, they're going to be taken down. That was Nick, I believe, from behind, striking out the crab. Nick knew their assignment of, you know what, I need to take out the crowd, but I know there are 3 members of BADVXLLIAN right in front of me that are probably going to take me down, but I want to help out my teammates and try and take it down. So overall, just worked out more for BADVXLLIAN's favor as they're still holding on to this zone. But, I mean, BONG, they do enough that they can try and push in and find these opportunities. And Nick especially is the one who's not shy, especially if they're Zipcaster needing. Are they going to go behind the crab again? I thought they were going to try and do that, but it doesn't look like they're going to be going for other enemies on the side of BONG. But 2 players down now for BADVXLLIAN. BONG, they've been doing a really good job holding on to this zone, Saf, and not letting their players go down.
I think with these tri-strikes right here, they know that 3 members of BADVXLLIAN are kind of posted up on this ramp section. That's going to cause huge displacement. There is nobody from BADVXLLIAN in sight, and if they do even get close, I'm sorry, Mihiru, but Ori is going to lock you down. And actually, with the distraction of that, you can see BADVXLLIAN was trying to open up the way on the right-hand side, but it's not going to be enough. Ori already quick to help shut that down, and with the help of Grape, that is a wipeout with the tape flying on the screen. BONG is your winner for game number 1.
Yeah, slow and steady towards the middle. They definitely picked up the pace towards the end, waiting for members of BADVXLLIAN to kind of scramble. BONG did a better job at timing some of their specials and knowing who they wanted to go for while controlling the zone. So, hey, a win is a win. I think it's just crazy that was probably like the most contested game that we have seen so far, just with the back and forth, even though every game we've pretty much seen has gone to a game 3 or a set decisive game 2. So yeah, it started off, I mean, both teams had control of the zone, but it was really the middle where they just went back and forth, traded some players. You know, I would tick 10 seconds off, you would tick 10 seconds off, and we would, you know, lather, rinse, repeat that for about 3 minutes. So took a little bit for BONG to get their mojo going, but they, at the end of the day, they did get it.
I really like the consistent crab crossfire that we've kind of been dealing with here with Spell using Crab Tank, and just the dual splashes on their Crab Tanks consistently. You got at least one up on the field somewhere coming from some direction. And just consistent crossfire coming in from the crabs, either being an opener for folks to come in and maintain zone and or flip it, or vice versa. So I don't know, Wahoo, it's interesting because it is such a small space, and it's like, okay, we got it now, but like, it's such a small space in the fact that you have to keep it contesting and fighting for it. You can't really focus on fights happening on the side, because whenever we did try to flip to fights on the side, they would be open and done with immediately, and we have to go back immediately to contesting what's going on in the middle. So I like that the Crab Tanks were able to kind of maybe be some sort of a break for that for us, and I'd imagine as we continue down the line, especially with the counterpick now being on BADVXLLIAN's side. Or are we in counterpicking? Is it decided?
It's all counterpicks. Even at the start of the tournament, yeah.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think anyone's counterpicking Wahoo World in this tournament, just in general. No. But you're right. It was a different change of pace than what we'd seen. BADVXLLIAN, they're going to pick Umami Ruins, of course, the split zone here, where it's much easier to watch for flanks than it is for Wahoo. Wahoo, you're elevated. Somebody could be right under you. You have no idea. Umami, there's like really no opportunity for flanks because you have to go to the other side of the zone anyways if you want to cap it. You know, you're not really flanking at that point. So a little bit more bread and butter for this stage, for this map, but it's I don't know. We did see, I would say, quote unquote, bread and butter types of plays for game 1. So we'll see if there's going to be a team who has a strong lockout on Umami and pushes forward, or if we're going to see the same thing we saw during game 1.
I imagine that Crab Tank is here to stay for both BONG and BADVXLLIAN. Good upper hand areas to use the Crab Tank at. I'd imagine the pencil obviously will stay too. I really like to see when people try to put NZAP in there somewhere again. NZAP really wants to be pencil. NZAP really wants to play like pencil and be the cooler that it can shine and be. But unfortunate for today for BONG and BADVXLLIAN, the NZAP is going to have to wait. No changes coming out from either comp. Still maintaining both the crab tanks as expected. I do like that Nick is maintaining the Zipcaster as well. I think Zipcaster can be really fun to try to combat on a map like this. And so far, Falco wasting no time here. Zone has not really been capped by anybody as of yet, but we are not being shy in taking our fights here.
No, we saw a 1v1, two 1v1s where both players went down, they traded, and Myru is going to be taking down Nick, the Stamper player, while BADVXLLIAN trying to get control. They do for just a little bit, but strikes are going to be coming out from BONG, and the crab and Soda are also available as well. So, you know, again, this is starting off very similarly to what we saw during game 1 with just all of these trades, all these back and forths, and nobody pushing past 98 in the first minute of the zone. Okay, finally it's going to be happening here as BADVXLLIAN is going to be getting it and staying in control, counting that down pretty quickly as well. So BADVXLLIAN, they're really wanting to try and capitalize on this as they have a 2-player advantage, but they need to watch out for those strikes in the crab that might be coming out soon for BONG.
I appreciate Spell just trying to do some damage control here and just maintain as much pain as they can. Even if they are to lose control of one side of the zone, they want to be able to have a fallback option and remove themselves from battle. Crab tank fight going down on the center stage. That's 2 down on the side of BONG here. Grape looking to take the left-hand side of the zone and fighting with Spell. A little bit of help, though, from the pencil on the left, but not going to be quite enough here as BADVXLLIAN still maintaining no penalty on the zones here. Tri-Strike's going to be coming out. Nick, unfortunately, taken down in the Zipcaster, not finding any value with that. It's still BADVXLLIAN looking comfortable, but even with little bits of fighting here and there and with specials coming out from BONG, BADVXLLIAN is not letting up.
No, not at all. And will it be enough for them to cap and contest? 1 is going to go down. Oh, 2 are going to go down. Now, BADVXLLIAN's, they need to get this. There they go. It took them a little bit of time, but I think what was really tricky in that situation, Nick was pushing up and was zipcastering, but they had no support. They had 3 members of BADVXLLIAN there to take them down. Nick, unfortunately, could not get a splat, and you can't really paint when you're a stamp player zipcasting. But then also the strikes came out on the side of BONG, and unfortunately just didn't cap the zone. 1 was thrown in mid to try and displace some of the members of BADVXLLIAN, but it served no purpose in trying to cap the zone at all. So BADVXLLIAN, again, we are just seeing so much fierce competition here because BADVXLLIAN, again, it took them a little bit of time to get their mojo going, but once they did, they knew the assignment. They were able to just hold on to that zone.
It kind of felt like BONG maybe was trying to put the cart before the horse a little bit, because you can see, like you said, Nick zipcasting in here, landing in the middle of 3 different players. Like, if they had just waited for the tri-strikes a little bit, for a little longer, maybe that could have kind of opened the gateway on that right-hand zone there. And even with the fight here, if anything, the story was going to change for BADVXLLIAN, or for BONG in that game right at the end there when we were entering the team fight with 3 seconds left to go. But again, it's just, when it comes down to pure mechanics, sometimes, like when you're in close quarters like that, you just, the queue of events, like, you just can't keep up with it. And so I think BADVXLLIAN from the get-go had the upper hand and on a 2-zone map, and that just really seemed to play into their strength.
Yeah. Going to game 3, as we do in the losers bracket fashion, we are going to a decisive game 3 for this set between BONG and BADVXLLIAN. We're here for it. I know you, Saf, I know you are. And my voice feels better, by the way. I am not coughing as much. I am muting myself occasionally to cough, but it is way better than it was before. So we're happy about that. Taking a look at the bracket, Fruittella is going to be going down, as we mentioned, to Moonlight. So they will be getting that loss. I'm checking the winners. Has Moonlight and FTWin started in the winners bracket yet? I'm looking at that. Yes, they're tied 1-1 actually. Of course, that one being casted on IPL. The winner of that match is going to be your first qualifier for the Splat World Series. Second place, we have the front seat here as we're looking at a majority of the teams in the losers bracket, but you bet that the winner of the loser side will be facing the loser of that game that is going on. So still quite a bit of action to head to. BONG is going to be picking Robo Ramen, and honestly, I can see this because it gives me a little bit of Wahoo vibes with just how there's a map and a route under zone, which isn't very common in a lot of our Splat Zones maps. So I do actually really like this pick from them.
I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one. There is more to the story between the lines being the zone is on a center pedestal, and there is a whole wraparound area underneath it that you can fight and change different things on the back end to try to find success. So no surprise coming out for BONG on this pick here. That new pro is going to be coming out though, shiny and new, and being one of our changes we see with BADVXLLIAN. However, BONG is going to be sticking to the same script that we've been working on. Again, plenty of surfaces for Nick to be using that Zipcaster on. However, Nick cannot be too hasty on this one, Falco. I think we've both kind of discussed it a little bit. That Zipcaster got a little bit ahead of themselves. So hopefully seeing a change in that here. However, BADVXLLIAN already having a really strong opening statement, so BONG is going to have to try and climb up from the beginning.
Yeah, and this is the best opening from any team that we have seen so far this set. You had a 3-player advantage. You take the zone, you're pretty much guaranteed to get below that 80 mark, and they certainly did that. And Maru switching from the 96 deco with the ink wall to, or I'm sorry, with screen to missiles. They're going to have a little bit more lethal power, a little bit more paint on their special. So they're going to be trying to use that towards their advantage. And right now, this is BONG's first opportunity to try and push forward using some of those strikes there from Ori. And then, you know, Maru is going to be going to be getting some of that cooler as well, trying to get some picks, and they do. So this is actually really good for BADVXLLIAN. That's going to be 3 delayed down. And now BADVXLLIAN trying to get control of the zone. They need to take out that sprinkler that's on top. Finally, they do. I don't even think the Booyah Bomb did it, but I always forget how important that sprinkler is. It's kind of cliche at this moment, but it really is important to just touch up on parts of the zone.
Nine is laughing to themselves somewhere about this sprinkler being on the ceiling and how much we really undermine the sprinkler and actually how effective it can be. Even the Booyah Bomb was not able to take it out, and it is still sitting pretty on the top of the zone here for BADVXLLIAN. BONG is on the back foot. They all have to try to re-enter, and they're jumping to each other and really close together. They don't want to be clumped up in a situation like this where there could be one special to kind of rule them all and take them out. The Crab Tank and Booyah Bomb are going to really open things up here for BONG, though. As you can see, the fight happening in the corner. Nick finding no value here, allowing Cats to try to clean up the mess. BADVXLLIAN now still trying to fight their way out of the spawning area. BONG really looking to try to change the tides here, Falco.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job making sure members of BADVXLLIAN just aren't getting too comfortable in one position, but now they're going to be losing that zone. It is going to go back to BADVXLLIAN with 40 penalty points. The missiles are going to be coming out as well. 2 are down now on BONG. That is what you like to see if you're a BADVXLLIAN, knowing that you need to get this game win if you want to move up in the losers bracket, and they're still holding on strong. But Saf, this has been the most contested match so far where these teams and players feel they're most comfortable. During game 1, they were just kind of, it was literally just a battle, the battle of mid, you know, read about it in your textbook. But here we have much more of a team coordination type of push where BONG is now on the offensive side. Nick is probably going to be getting that pick on Cats, but no, Cats with the flicker and turnaround takes them down as well. So BONG looking to get rid of some of their penalty points right now. Maru's trying to get some missiles, can't. The Crab is going to be coming out from BADVXLLIAN too. But all this time, all this is happening, BONG is still holding onto the zone, Saf.
Cancel on those missiles as well. Not only a tracking tool, but a painting tool as well. Very unfortunate timing for BADVXLLIAN, still having to burn a lot of resources to try to get back in here. But still, BONG looking to really sway the battle as the tri-strikes open it up and the Crab Tank allows for safe entry. There's Grape trying to take a fight with 3 different members and really successfully actually backing up. Surprises there from my end. Nick going to have to jump out of the fight as well as the Crab Tank comes through and tries to deny any sort of entry, and with Maru helping out on those missiles, getting some paint down on the ground with Booyah Bomb as well. That is going to be a retake on BADVXLLIAN's end with 2 members of BONG going down, making it 3. Look at Spell and Xenor trying to maybe close it up here, close in the gap, and try to see if we can maybe get some space and maintain the area up at the top there before BONG can really get settled and respawned. And we could probably do that with Cats being taken out of the game, because already BONG is looking to try to cover it up, but BADVXLLIAN, enough ink out of nowhere, Falco. Holy smokes.
Yeah, this has really been where it's trying to turn around for BONG as they're trying to just hold on to this zone. The cooler is pretty far back, so you can see how quickly they've tried to push up, and this looks like one of the more comfortable lockouts that BONG has had so far in this game. But BADVXLLIAN, they are needing just a little bit more time to try and get that cap. I would say sooner than later. I know you have 20 seconds, but you don't want to lose the lead in this situation. You don't want to be coming on the offensive side and needing to get that cap in overtime. And the lead is not going to flip quite yet. We'll see where the zone lands. 7 seconds remaining. BONG needs to cap it for just 2 seconds, but no, BADVXLLIAN able to save it. BONG able to hold it on and push into overtime, but this is going to be much more of an uphill battle than what they thought.
I think we're really going to be needing to get those missiles back online. You don't want your two aggressors going out. Maru is going to have to back off a little bit here. Kuda has been popped. They are trying to take Grape out of the fight, taking 2 out of the fight away from the zone, but that allows for BADVXLLIAN to have 2 players down, opening the way for BONG to swipe the win and move on into the loser bracket. Oh my goodness gracious. You could see what Maru, I really get what Maru was trying to do in that moment. But it also means that you put yourself in a 2v1 situation and you get taken down really quick. So, just bad timing for BADVXLLIAN.
That was the closest game that we've had in a game 3. You couldn't ask for a closer game 2. Every team winning on their counter picks as well. We mentioned that BONG would probably want to go for a stage where they have a little bit more room underneath, but it kind of worked out for them. Barely, but it worked out. Of course, they had to come from the side of losing to retake the lead in overtime to get the win, but they were able to pull it off against BADVXLLIAN. So a very huge win for them. BADVXLLIAN is going to be knocked out. Again, we don't have that many teams remaining in our losers bracket, as we have loser semis coming up pretty shortly. And we will be seeing BONG there as they're able to live. They're going to be facing Fruittella coming up next. That one is going to be the one happening here on Splatoon Tourney. Over on the other side, you can watch that on IPL after the conclusion of Moonlight versus FTWin. The winner of that one, of course, making the qualifiers. FTWin currently is up 2-1 against Moonlight in that set. And of course, remember the winner's bracket still a best of 5 situation. So that's why we're seeing a little bit more speed here. So, I mean, they're getting close. This is what we expected our top 2 seeds to be here for the first qualifier, FTWin versus Moonlight, and right now it's looking like it's going to distance. Of course, y'all can check that out over on IPL. No point in me checking in and telling you how it is. Most of you have 2 monitors, you have a phone, you have a different device. You can tune that on because you should have both streams open anyways. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. We don't, so we're a little busy, but you know.
You need to be dedicating today to watching the Splat World Series. That means that you're watching on IPL and Splatoon Tourney. I don't make the rules. That's actually just in everyone's calendars. You can look on Outlook. You can look. It's on your Google Calendar. I actually sent everyone and their mom an invite, and it automatically accepted because that's how things work in my world where I make the rules. So I do actually make the rules.
Yeah, you do. Well, you're also one of the only admins for both organizations anyways too. So you do set the tone. You can tell us what to do and we'll have to do it. But yeah, we mentioned before we're going to be seeing BONG versus Fruittella. Fruittella team, I mean, we've seen them earlier again today. They went down to Moonlight 3-0. That one was, I believe, streamed on IPL, where we saw the other side of the bracket with that was FTWin versus New Meta. So winner of this one, though, going to be facing, I believe, facing New Meta to see who goes on. So this is a fun day. You know, it's actually going by pretty quickly too. I know that's what happens when you only have best of 3s in your losers bracket, but as far as I know, everything's going pretty smoothly. I was talking to Popgun and Z a little bit before this, and they're like, yeah, like things are running good. We're having a good time. So that's always a good sign, Saf.
Glad to hear that, and I really like that. Like we get to actually hang out. Like that, you and I get to hang out with Fruittella a little bit today because, man, oh man, Fruittella is a group of fun folks, and they've been having a really interesting day. I feel like for them, it's very like zero. It's been very 0 or 100 for them. It's like either we are 3-0ing or we're getting 2-0'd, and it's kind of hasn't really been much in between. Other than that, so I'm glad that we get to hang out with Fruittella a little bit and learn their story. BONG, however, we got to see in the last one against BADVXLLIAN, and it was a little up in the air. And like you were saying, it was very low stakes in the fact that it was just super back and forth until we got kind of to the closing moments. But that last game that we got to see, that really, for me, sealed the deal of being like, okay, hey, we are BONG. This is what we can do.
We are BONG.
We are BONG. This is what we can do. And we can for sure show you that in a similar fashion. Because once again, you have two center zones up on a very high peak, and you need to be crawling up and taking fights down below in order for success to be happening up on that higher peak. So I feel like BONG has already been playing this game, so maybe a little bit warmed up against Fruittella.
Yeah.
Well, Fruitella's gotten to play some of the titans of the industry today already, so warm up in a different way.
They have, but speaking of highest peaks, we're starting on Flounder Heights too. So again, not a stage that we see very often here in the Western scene for Splatoon, especially events on IPL. But we saw BONG. They won on Wahoo. They did well on Robo Ramen. On paper, I feel like they would do very well here too. But we mentioned they're facing a very tough Fruittella team. So I don't know. Fruitella's had a little bit of time that they've had to wait for this moment to be in this situation, but like you mentioned, they're just really strong players too. So I don't really foresee any weapon changes for the side of BONG, especially because they were very standard for what we just saw in their previous match. But you're facing a new team. It's always a fresh start. You're not facing the same team. You're facing different types of weapons, whether they know who they're going to be facing, individual players or their weapons in particular. But it's always something that just changes in your mind.
And I think I'm wondering too, with having to take the height into play, how do you want to maybe change up your weapon composition? Like you're saying, I don't think BONG is really going to change anything. I think that they're pretty confident and comfortable in what they're doing. However, Fruittella, we haven't really gotten to talk to or seen much of today. So I'm wondering maybe if there is some compensation to be made for a map such as this that has really challenging heights to kind of overcome. And it is easy to flank here, but I also think it's easy to be called out on the flank as well. And especially if you have a comp that can move really fast, that can be kind of a challenge for really trying to find success in the flank. So curious to see how Fruittella is going to try to utilize that against BONG, and especially because with BONG, I really am waiting to see some more successes from these Zipcasters coming from Nick, because I really think that this Zipcaster can really be cause for some damage and some concern on like moving forward into this tournament. I really want to see them like utilize this more and see what they want to try to do, because it really feels like that there is really big initial momentum as soon as Zipcaster is popped, but then there's not like the follow-up, there's not like the rest of the story to be told. So I'm really hoping that as we move forward in this tournament that BONG is able to give the Zipcaster more value, give it the value and the credit that it needs.
Yeah, you're right. We hadn't really seen it in the previous set, but we'll hop into here for game one and see if we see it starting now. Jared's ads, that is Crowny, by the way. I think they got tired of changing their name, so they're just sticking with Jared's ads. That's what production's telling us anyways, which I believe that you have to enter an alias so many times. Might as well stick with what you have, and at least they conveyed that information to us. But for BONG, we do see the heavy edit, a lot of traditional comps that we had seen before with Fruittella on the side of Fruittella and BONG. Yeah, sticking with what they know. They might be backwards though, or I think. Yeah, I think the colors might be backwards. That's just my little cameo way of saying it. There we go. Okay, now we're back to normal here with BONG in control. A quick, pretty decent early lead, but two are going to go down on their side. But Fruittella's trying to find their way to push in, and I mean BONG, they had the players down, but even with their minimal players alive, they were still able to get a few picks and keep the zone alive.
Punchy is doing here, trying to get up on that hidden wall on the back end, but really, again, no entry point really in success to be had for Fruittella here. Hopefully the Crab Tank can maybe cause a change for that. As you can see that Ori, yeah, I believe that's Ori, and that is also the splash for BONG Grape coming through to try and see if they can break into the center stage here. However, Punchy, quick, not only able to live through the Crab Tank, but also have time to jump down and take that fight down below here. It seems like BONG Bong moving a little bit slower here, Falco.
Yeah, a little bit slower than what we've seen, but Nori, they're getting a nice double there. Can Nick take them out? Yes, they can. Now caught in a 1v1 versus Punchy, where Punchy is going to get away with that one. So just kind of a lot of weird skirmishes that we have seen so far, but Fruittella's waiting to find a way that they can really push through. They have a lot of their players gathered in mid, but again, they don't have control of the zone yet. They're waiting on that, and finally they do. But I don't really see a way for them to keep this up in the long run, but they are getting a few picks. But two specials are going to be ready, the Cooler and the Crab. Grape is going to be using the Crab to try and push the members out. Punchy's just being smart and waiting on the wall. They say, if I just wait on this wall for a little bit and make sure no one else from the side of BONG is going to get me, I'm just going to wait out this Crab. And it really worked for them, and now Fruittella is in control with 50 remaining.
Also having a Crab of their own in tow, helping out with the onslaught coming out from Fruittella here. Jared's in a great position with their heavy edit, that getting the coolers out for the folks on Fruittella, finding no success though, unfortunately. Nick able to call them out pretty quickly. Tri-strikes are going to be changing the zones over to Bong's side of things, with Zipcaster coming out as well. However, tri-strikes of their own from Fruittella to change the zone back into possession here. Bong really trying to look in and see if they can keep a solid foothold. Falco really struggling to get up onto the top section, though. It seems to me that Bong is finding more success down below.
Yeah, I think they're just having a hard time trying to find their way that they can push back in. And now there's not a lot of penalty points on the side of Fruittella that they need to get through. As who's going to? Oh, they jumped out. I wasn't sure who's going to win that between Grape. Maybe it was that Ori who was facing them, but they're going to be taking down Fiesta. So Bong trying to see if they can get this cap, but no, they just don't have the player advantages quite yet, as Fruittella, once again, quick to respawn and jump back in. They do have some of the cooler that they can work with as well, and a two-player advantage. They have to take out Nick, who's going to be jumping in as well. This is the most secure that Fruittella has looked so far, as Crowny Jared's as is just waiting behind this pillow, waiting for somebody to come in. We're going to be seeing some bombs thrown on the side of bongs, but it's not going to be enough. Fruitella's going to be taking game one.
Yeah, some bongs from Bong getting thrown onto the map, as they say. I really think that the Fast and Furious composition coming out from Fruittella was really a struggle for Bong throughout this here, and what I mean by that is I think having your more mobile tacticooler user was really successful here, and also having a lot more firepower in the arsenal. It allowed for more space for Fiesta and Punchy to kind of work with and push up. You could see consistently Fiesta and Punchy were kind of like split off on between the middle sides of the zone there, but also they were working together quite a bit to try and take fights. Also Nora, kind of the sleeper pick as well. Nora being so sneaky with their blaster too, also trying to sneak up from the sides, kind of similarly to what Nick was doing. However, I once again think that Nick was kind of caught out at unfortunate times because they were just by themselves. They were trying to flank by themselves, and I don't think they had quite enough considering who they were also trying to meet at the end of the fight. So I think with having Bong on the counter pick once again, I'm wondering if it's going to be a similar counter pick that they had with BADVXLLIAN, or if they're considering the weapon choice from Fruittella having that kind of faster, cooler user, somebody that can actually push up a little bit more at the team versus maintaining space if you're a pencil. Kind of what Bong wants to do to try to counteract that.
Yeah, I'm thinking too. You're going to want to try and choose a weapon, or choose a stage that doesn't favor the edit on the side of Fruittella. Every other weapon you've faced in your previous set that you won, so that's going to be one I think you're going to try and choose against, to just maybe play it a slightly different way. But Fruittella, again, took them a while to get comfortable in this game for game one, but they were able to hold on for their own. And I think it was at those moments where, we saw Nick kind of just jumping in, doing what they could. Of course, that was like the last few moments of the game where you have to do everything you can to cap the zone. But it didn't look too comfortable for them. We're going to be moving on to Bong's pick, Particle and Dime, for the counter pick. So a little bit more level playing field. I would say definitely the most traditional map and mode that we have seen so far being played. So I'm excited to see how these two teams play on more of a neutral stage, I should say, than one that's as dynamic as Fonder Heights.
How do you deal with open space? How do you deal with less places to hide? How do you deal with staying more low than trying to take high ground? Because when you do take high ground, you got to do it fast, or else your backline is right there to meet you. But also Falco, looking in on the other side of things over on IPL, FTWin finding success on Moonlight for a 3-2. So down to the wire with that one. Moonlight getting knocked down into the loser side of things. Moonlight is waiting for the winner of whoever this with new meta.
Yeah, so we'll get there or probably on IPL side as well. But let's hop into game 2 here. Taking a look at the weapons, not many changes. Definitely no changes on the side of BONG. Fruittella going with a pretty traditional comp, but we are going to be seeing the pencil come out in place of the heavy edit. So, and Nora, who's Aaron, is going to be on that S-Blast once again.
Yeah, and Nora is going to have to be real sneaky here to try to displace the pencil for BONG as well. And I think with Crowny being on the pencil too, again, just a really open map. So you want something that can reach far and wide and provide a lot of coverage. And pencil just absolutely thrives at that. And if you're Fruittella too, finding success with this opening push here and maintaining zone, you're already try to collapse in on BONG as quickly as possible, because once again, 2 players are already down.
Yeah, that is like textbook play for Fruittella. You get the wipeout, you get the cap, and then you can follow up with getting 2 more players down. So you're really making BONG try and scramble. Grape is going to be taking out Fiesta with the crab, but it then is going to go down from one of the players who then Ori gets. So a lot of back and forth, but of course all this back and forth only going to be favoring the team who is in control of the zone. And once again, that is Fruittella. And especially with a delayed 2-player advantage, this is looking very nice for them. Nora's just guarding some of these ledges, really identifying Ori in particular as they're making sure that they don't have any way that they can drop down. So BONG, they're going to be needing a miracle play to try and push back in. They do have the crab at the ready, but the crab is going to go down. There's no way that is going to happen with the wipeout to seal the deal. Fruittella sweeps this game 2 here and gets 1 step closer to move up in the losers bracket.
I need to talk about Fiesta for a minute, okay? I need to talk about Fiesta and Fruittella, because talk about looking into the belly of the beast. I mean, Fiesta was looking in to try and fight with Ori. Aaron completely pushed Ori to the other side and made them fearful of their life to even leave that ledge for any reason. And Fiesta being there to meet them, going in to fight, but then also having 2 more members of Fruittella or of BONG in tow to go and try to remove Fiesta from the troubled area. And already the beginning of that was seen right here. BONG getting taken out in a wipeout situation, immediately playing the rest of the game from their spawn, unfortunately. Fruittella in a great position here to try to keep BONG out of the wings. You are taking the crab tank out before completely. This right here, belly of the beast here. So Fiesta fighting Ori down below. You have Grape and Nick in there trying to follow up. Punchy is in from behind, seeing that Fiesta needs help. In the process of Nick trying to go for Fiesta, Fiesta takes Grape out of the game. I mean, for me, that was the play of the game right there, because you had 3 different people distracted by Fiesta.
It was like a game of chess where you had somebody from Fruittella say, hey, I'm going to position myself here so that way someone from BONG goes here, and then we have another teammate who can strike here. And it all worked out for Fruittella. Definitely their most dominant game that we have seen on stream, and honestly one of the most dominant that we've seen in all of the losers bracket. But Saf, that is going to be it for us here on the Splatoon tourney broadcast. But you guys don't go anywhere. There are 2 more sets headed on IPL. We have Fruittella versus New Meta, and then the winner of that is going to be facing Moonlight to see who will secure their spot in the Splat World Series that will happen later in August. We're going to head over to IPL's way. Nine and Fufu are on the mic for that, and definitely tune in if you can. Remember, Squid Junction tonight. You want to sign up for that one as well. That is going to be taking place. Meet us at the Junction. If you're Europe, I'm sorry, it's going to be very late for you, but for everybody in North America, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, prime time. Scan that QR code for more information. But that is going to be it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our streamer, Jarian, who is here today for both of the blocks. Saf, thank you very much for joining us. I know your Blue Sky's on there, but where can we find you?
You don't find me, please. If you really want to find me, can, if you must. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me roaming the oceans, climbing up debris. You can find me in the woods, frolicking mushrooms. You can find me hanging out with my fellow TOs at the wonderful and beautiful place that is Sea Battle, Washington. Falco, and you can find me and you at Riptide very, very soon. But where else are you at?
Yeah.
Can the people find you?
Find me on Blue Sky, Falco Flyer. Find me at Riptide, like we mentioned. Find us both here next week, same time, for the second qualifier. Saf and I will be both on the mic again, once again, for that here on Splatoon Fraternity. But like we mentioned, we're going to head over to IPL for the final 2 sets that they will be streaming. Nine and Fufar on the mic. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you over there.